couldn't. Hi, friend.
How are you doing? Good. Hey, you never know, it's good to be seen too.
That's right, we're still around.
Thank you so much.
Did you get my text? Yep. That'll be plenty. We'll probably be done before lunch.
We're done. I'm gonna zoom down there right now and get. Then you can take them with you. Yeah, you can take it home.
Okay, so just for your fun, just to help.
Bruce, I should have had this form sheet in years past, so that you can spread out just a little bit more. You've already got half the other table filled.
I need that room so that I can
See what you're doing.
maneuver, yeah.
No, you're good.
I realized I forgot my calculator though, so do it in our head. The reason we have to have an agenda is because it's an open meeting now.
That is correct.
Not exactly.
Oh, golly.
The restaurant, and then the cultural, and then so I'm committed just.
Can record the meeting from that.
Okay,
That way it'll help me to know who's speaking. But I need
we'll use that
the
and the,
microphones tie into the recording, so.
okay, we'll use the little digital one
The
also.
Utah Festival is still going, they sent me.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I had heard otherwise, so.
David,
And then this is about.
what prompted the open meeting?
The law. I'll explain that in a second,
application
actually, as soon as we get started.
$3 million, somebody ought to.
But
Yeah.
this was to
Yeah, I
move
guess
it
people
so
wanna
there's
know
no
when we're handing
basis
out
for them.
millions of
David
dollars.
said there's no problem moving it.
But they
so
do when
there's
it's
no
at county
get to
council.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
open
open as
meeting.
well.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's everything.
That's what
they
I-
decided.
I think that was the
yeah.
open
Yeah.
meeting,
Because
so.
really, no decision is made here.
No,
All
just
this
a
is a
recommendation.
recommendation, and
Yeah.
they make the
But
decision.
70,000, then they
I'll
got.
explain
that
that in
makes
a
every committee that even meets
They have
an open
changed the
meeting.
location.
Essentially,
I'm not
well,
allowed,
there-
I mean, I don't
there are
have the
a
right
few-
to say that.
There are a few things that,
We tried to get
permanent.
before the council before
I
this,
guess I can pull
but
it up.
just in case he submitted one for them, oh, that would cover that.
So if we
So,
want to not
David
serve
said there's no
anymore, we
problem
can just
moving it, so when we get to
say
that
our
problem,
mind in this
we'll
meeting
just-
and.
Okay, we won't award
That might
any
take
money
care of it,
because
yeah.
if we can move it, then that's fine. And then this is, pickleball. It's just a letter that we got, so when we get to anything pickleball, I just want you to be aware of it. It's not like we can do much about it.
Yeah, pickleball's taken over the county.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't print the right one. This is not live. How much time do I have?
Which one was it?
Let's go off of that.
Pickleball induced noise
I have
stress,
a report that
cause
I run.
stroke.
Oh, dear.
It's supposed to list by order of how you guys rank.
New thing, pickleball noise induced
Okay.
stress.
That would be good.
I'm gonna go back and run that.
And all the priorities we sent in,
Sorry, I ran the
fine,
wrong
I think that's
report
kind of,
this morning.
that actually,
I'm Becky.
because of open
Nice to meet
meeting.
you, I'm David.
I'm,
Thanks for coming out.
yeah, I'm Becky.
David, I'm gonna go,
We had a great conversation a couple months ago.
Yes, we did.
I'm gonna go run that report. I ran the wrong one.
Okay, well,
So, do introductions.
yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Are we recording?
Everybody's here, the recording has started, and Barbara will not be here.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting of the Rapz and Restaurant Tax Committee to order. We'll start with a brief roll call, and then I'll just explain some questions that came up about our Open Meetings Act and the openness of this meeting. My name is David Zook, I'm the county executive, and let's just start on the end and everyone.
I'm Becky Job, and I'm representing North Logan area.
All right, thank you.
I'm Andy Jorgensen, and I'm representing Logan.
All right,
Dave Erickson, County Council.
Reed Baldwin, south end of the valley.
Dick Whittier, Mendon, College Ward, Young Ward, Spring Creek, unincorporated county.
okay.
Bruce Cook, also from Logan.
All right, thank you, Bruce. And as Janine just mentioned, Barbara Tidwell, who represents Logan District 2, is also on our committee, but she was unable to make it today. She did submit her rankings, so her scores will be in the overall rankings that we'll be reviewing. And there was a question that came up about the fact that this is an open meeting. Our county attorney's office advised us that this is a meeting that is required to be open under the Utah Open and Public Meetings Act. And I heard a couple of questions just now, so I pulled up the definition just so you can understand maybe what it says. So the definition of a meeting that has to be open under this act is the convening of a public body with a quorum present, including a workshop, for the purposes of discussing, receiving comments from the public about, or acting upon a matter over which the public body has jurisdiction or advisory power. So, so their interpretation was that even though this is advisory, that specifically says advisory bodies have to be open. And I guess a similar one we have at the county is our planning commission. In some things they make decisions, but in many of their decisions they're just advisory to the county council. We actually have several advisory boards. So yeah, under that definition there are probably a lot of meetings that are open meetings according to that. So what does that mean as far as this being an open meeting? That means that Janine sent this agenda out. It was posted. It was sent to the newspaper and posted on the public meeting notice website, and it means the meeting is recorded, and it means that the public could come. No, obviously nobody's here, so no public has attended, but if somebody wanted to review the recording afterward, they'll be able to do that, and Janine will prepare minutes as well that the public would be able to review also. Are there any questions about that? Okay. All right, well, thank you for that. Betty, who is our staff member who supports us from the finance department, just realized that there was an error on the printouts she had for us, so she went to go reprint those, so it might be a minute until she gets back with those. And I think that'll be helpful to have that when she comes back. I think that's our, I think what she's talking about is the sheet where she put all of the scores together, because I don't see one of those in front of me yet. And yes, did you have a question?
Well, at some point before we get started, would you just review where all of this $3 million comes from, just so that we're all, I mean, I'm assuming we all know where it comes from, but I think it would be good to know, again, how we collect $3 or $4 million every year to give away.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And we, as I mentioned at the opening of this meeting, this committee is actually called the Rapz and the Restaurant Committee. And the reason it's called that is because we have two different sources of tax revenue that we will be distributing today. One is the restaurant tax and one is the Rapz tax. The Rapz tax was approved by voters originally back in 2002, and it was reauthorized in 2012. It's a 10-year authorization, and it will need to be reauthorized again next year. So that second 10-year time period will expire, and we will need to put this on the ballot again and have the voters reauthorize it if they want to continue with it. Last time, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember it was something like 80%. It was a very high percentage that it was reauthorized at. So the voters were very supportive of it. And something I know I remember 10 years ago, thank you, Betty. I remember 10 years ago when the ballot was back up for reauthorization, there being kind of a campaign to ask all of the organizations and cities who had received money to make sure they reach out to their constituencies and remind them how valuable the program was to them. I would anticipate there would be a similar program over this next year where cities, organizations would be telling the people that they work with that they would encourage them to vote to reauthorize this. So, so with it being a tax, it's a 0.1% sales tax for Rapz. That's what that is. So all sales tax in Cache County, 0.1% gets set aside for Rapz. And Rapz stands for Restaurant, Arts, Parks, and Zoo. And the way it was authorized at the time it was done, the Z in Rapz, the zoo portion, was allocated a specific percentage that was in the legislation that would go to the zoo, and that's 10%. The way that works is the zoo still has to request money, and they have requested money this year, and they can request up to 10%. My understanding is that if they don't request that full 10%, then the money they don't request rolls back into the rest of the pot and can be used. The other 90% that's left over is then split between cultural projects and recreational projects, essentially. So those two are how we're supposed to split the rest of the money between basically programming and construction is kind of how it breaks down between those, because usually, not necessarily always, but usually the recreation projects are things like parks and trails and construction projects, and usually the cultural funds are used for things like programs. Nonprofit organizations often are the ones doing that. So, so that's the Rapz side. And then since 1992, the county's had a 1% sales tax on prepared food items, which is known as the restaurant tax. So that when you go to a restaurant, your sales tax is higher than if you're buying something from somewhere else. You pay a little bit extra when you go to a restaurant. And that was something that was established to be able to help with tourism, recreation, cultural arts, convention center, and airport are all included in that legislation for that 1%. So we have historically at the county combined the process for distributing those funds. Technically, we could separate those and say we're just going to talk about restaurant tax, determine that, and we're just going to talk about Rapz. And we could, I guess, even separate it and have separate meetings for the art side and the recreation side and the zoo side even. But historically, what's been done is it's all just been handled together because it's simpler, I think, is the reason why that's been done, because you can have all of the applications come in through the same process. And it's similar uses anyways. Betty does break down for us on a spreadsheet kind of the split of how they'll allocate the money. But we don't necessarily have to worry about that too much in today's meeting because of the amounts we have available. And maybe it's a good time. Does that answer the question, I guess, about the background of where this comes from? So, and one more thing, I guess, to clarify is we will today come up with a recommendation that will go to the county council. So Dave and Barbara serve on that county council, and they, along with their colleagues on the county council, will make the final decision about how these funds are expended. We'll give them a recommendation. I think most of the time in the past, they've gone with the recommendation from this committee. I think they've made a couple of tweaks here and there in the past. But they could, if they wanted to, they could completely throw out a recommendation, do something totally different. Or they could just say, yep, we're giving you a thumbs up, thanks for your recommendation. I think usually in those types of cases, they're just minor adjustments that are made. So I know they appreciate all of your service and being willing to do this and read through this huge stack of applications here.
One question before we get into it. Could you tell us of the status of the Logan Cache Airport stuff that we discussed last year?
I cannot, because I was not here last year, so I don't know what that is. What was it?
Did we not? We gave them
Gave them,
300,000?
310,000.
310,000. There's nothing in there this year about that. I just want to know what's the status of that
That was
310?
matching money.
That was matching.
That matching money.
Do you know what it was used for?
Yeah.
It was,
I don't know if it was used.
well, yeah, we don't
What
either,
was proposed for?
I believe it's in process.
yeah.
I think it was a thicker road and.
They had to redo the runway
Yeah.
and make it deeper and thicker to handle heavier airplanes.
Oh,
But I believe that is in process.
Yes,
okay.
and they do have 2 years to complete that.
And did we get the match, I guess? Is the-
Right, and that's what, that was critical that they got that, remember last
We
year,
wanted to allocate it to get the match, yeah.
get that match, because it meant for so much more money that they got from the state.
Yeah,
What'd you say, Betty?
I'll ask.
yeah, if you could reach out and find the status, that'd be great. Thank you, Betty.
Also talking about the matching fund, did the Kunstler property on that conservation easement, did that come to pass? Do we know? That was the one
On
time
which
showing
one?
matching fund
The
too.
Kunzler property, you want to give an update on that?
The Huntsville was the one we were talking about. They ended up getting 47 acres, and we believe that's reduced from the 150 down to 82,620, something like that.
Okay.
So they did not, and they've not been allocated the whole amount, it was just reduced.
Yeah,
We allocated it, but we're not gonna give it out.
So,
So that-
so that's that'll be residual?
yeah,
So that money
yeah,
For
should
this
come
year.
back
most
this
likely.
year.
Because Dave wanted to get in on that, right?
yeah, yeah, so that's,
Well, think about it.
That's right. You wanted to get in on. So
Remember
whatever
that?
didn't go to the
That was a heck of
Kunzler
a
should go to
deal.
Dave.
yeah,
But it
that's,
still wasn't a good enough deal, because, you know, because they backed off, and I think some developers came in and paid them a lot more on the other part, so. Anyway,
so that's still underway. They lowered the amount of money they're probably going to need, but the extra money that they might end up not using has not yet been rolled back into our fund balances.
Now, about how much is that going to be? I missed that part.
That will likely come back to us, that was
Yeah.
allocated. Betty, do you know the answer to that? How much do we anticipate from that Kunzler property will come back to us that we allocated that they might
It's-
not need?
Sorry if I had a calculator, the difference, so we're only going to spend out 82,600 whatever.
just
out of
under
the
70,000
So
then.
the rest will just roll back into it.
Okay, so around
Into the
70,000.
recreation. Yeah, about 70,000.
Okay.
See, we do pay attention. We do pay
Yeah,
attention. We
yeah.
do pay
Actually, it isn't coming back though, is it? It has never left.
Well, it's never left. Technically, it's never left.
Well, maybe if we get it.
It'll come back to one column on the
That would
spreadsheet.
really be better.
Because once it goes, there's always an
Yeah.
administrative fee
Yeah.
that takes a chunk.
Yeah, it'll only come back from one column to another on the spreadsheet.
Yes.
Not actually leaving our bank account yet, so. These are excellent questions. Are there any other follow-up questions on previous allocations or the process or
Did
any
you
of
talk
that?
about the
before we move in?
Providence pickleball?
Oh, yes, that's an excellent point, okay. So before we get into discussing what's before us today in the business that we have, one other item of business is there is an application before us today from Providence for a pickleball court. And they submitted that application as a backup in case the county council next week does not approve their request to move their project. So on the county council agenda next Tuesday, they have a request to be able to move their project from one park to another.
The one proposed in here
The one that was already funded.
from last year.
Yeah, was it last year that was funded?
2 years,
2 years ago?
19 and 20,
Okay,
yeah.
so 2 years ago, we funded money, we gave them money to build a pickleball court, and they've just, in looking at it, want to move it to a different park. So,
Same monies.
same money,
Same amount.
same project,
So-
they just want to change location, which does require county council approval, which I don't anticipate there being an issue with that, I don't think the county
And
council
so
can have an
this
issue.
request here is in case the county council says no,
Yeah.
then they've got another backup.
They got
Yeah.
backup right there.
If the county council says, no, you can't move it, then they say, well, we want some more money then to build one over at this other park. Because that's where they've decided they really want it.
And historically, county council has worked really, really good with all of the cities.
Yeah.
To give them another year.
Is that a result of this email that complained about the pickleball?
I think those are totally separate issues, as
Yeah.
far as I know, those are totally separate issues. And maybe we should talk about that next. So my recommendation on their current request is that we not fund them, and that our recommendation be to the county council to not fund them. Unless the county council, for some reason, doesn't want to approve the move, then we might, ask them to do
Then
something
the county
different.
council might fund them.
Yeah, and so the county council could say, no, we want it to
Yeah.
stay there, and we want to give you money for a second one.
But-
They could do that.
But historically, county council, we have worked with Logan on several projects, same kind of thing. They've moved, it's basically some little management change. Some of it's COVID change, they weren't able to get some, even people to work on things. Amalga had a thing a couple of years ago that they just needed to move. Trenton, I think, had something in there. But the job got done, it took like another year, or they needed to then switch it from here to here.
Yeah.
But the application still gotta, fulfilled.
So the email that you were referring to is, we also received an email asking us if we would put some conditions on the money that we've already handed out in the past. There's a pickleball court that was built in Providence, another one that was already built and is underway or in use, and some of the neighbors don't like it. And they want us to put conditions on the use of the facility and things like that. We just don't have jurisdiction to do that. We can't do that. The city is who would have control over the hours and the use and all of those kinds of things. I guess we could say to people before we give them money, I'm saying we don't have jurisdiction once we give somebody money to tell them how they can and can't use their park. I guess the county could potentially tell somebody if they were going to give them money, some conditions, like we want the park over here or there, but I think even then it would be limited, and I don't see the county council wanting to get into the city's businesses like that.
I say give them one condition. Vote their city council and their mayor out if they don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's up to
Yeah.
cities. That's
Yeah,
cities.
it's between
That
the
is city's
citizens and the
business.
city council, so
So,
that would be my recommendation. Sounds like Dave's recommendation as well. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I believe that the reason that they requested the move is because they just went through a replanning and zoning in their city, and the people requested them to be spread out more.
Yeah.
So I think that was the reason for the move. The other just kind of came along after the fact.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing that we'll need to look at. And one more thing I wanted to clarify as well before we jump into this. In the first list that was sent out to us, there were a number of projects that were listed as ineligible. And after further review, some of those projects were found to be eligible.
Some
And
two.
what's that?
Some or two.
Two.
Okay.
Yeah, two. I believe there were 4 initially that were marked as ineligible, and after further review, the Nordic United and Jump the Moon were found to be eligible.
Yes.
Okay, so those two, even though in the initial documents were marked as ineligible, the staff and attorneys have done some additional research and determined that they are in fact eligible. So that left us with 2 projects that were still listed as ineligible, and those were
Whispering,
USU
USU Writing Center and Whispering Canyons, I think it's called.
and Whispering
it's
Canyons.
58 and 59, I believe is
They are.
what she sent out to us.
So, the recommendation most likely on those 2 will be to not fund them. However, everything else in the list is eligible. So with that being said, if there are no questions about anything that we've talked about up to this point, yes?
Just maybe one other, go ahead, Dave, while we're still on this.
This is Barbara's recommendation for awards. Would you like that?
Was that worked into the numbers?
No, she sent that to me last night. No, the numbers that I have are only what they asked for on that spreadsheet.
I mean, the scores.
Oh, her scores, she didn't send scores, so I did what you did for her. I just
Okay,
put them all
okay.
in at a 5.
So what,
So she sent me what she wants to award each,
Her amounts, and it looks like her,
just the dollar
Just her
amount,
amounts.
so.
oh,
Yeah.
so she just gave us some specific
amounts.
suggestions for amounts that she wants to fund for people?
Yes.
Yes.
And I've done the same thing myself on my own little sheet, and everyone else has probably written their information too, so.
Okay. So all of these that she's listed are different from the request? Or are some of these the same as the
Got it
requested
this
amount?
morning and I didn't look that close.
Mine are.
I'm sure what's on those sheets are gonna be different than what they
So the
requested.
let's see, give me a number. and I'll
So,
tell you.
okay, the first one she has is American Festival Chorus, number 2.
She did
They asked for
30,000.
30,000, she has 30,000.
Yeah,
Then she has number 4, 36,500, that's how much they asked for.
yeah.
So maybe there, I notice on here, there are 3 that are highlighted.
Yeah, those are the ones that I had them highlighted just because there was a change. I had forgotten one, and then the 2 got switched. I had forgotten 36 on this list for your book, so.
Okay, so do we need to go through every one of hers and see?
Well,
No,
just as we're going through them,
Okay.
This
She
is we're
will
going
be
through.
one of the 2, 4, 6, 7 of us.
Yeah.
So
Weren't there
it's not
8
that-
voted?
doesn't mean you look at hers all the
Yeah.
time.
8 of us that voted?
Yes.
Is the maximum score is
5.
40, yeah.
40? So that, David, you voted then?
Yeah, yeah, the maximum score is 40.
Okay.
And, yeah, so like American West Heritage Center got a 38
Out of 7 of us,
out of 8.
8 of us.
Out of 8.
1,
Yeah.
2, oh,
40 is the max.
Yeah, 40 is the max score somebody could have gotten.
that's right, because Barbara's is not at all.
Barbara didn't give
No,
them to
Bart
me,
was
so
included at 5.
I put them all in at 5.
Oh,
So they might not have gotten quite as high if she had really voted.
Oh, yeah. So so I guess we'll get to those. So, thank you for that. You had a question.
Yeah, just more of a comment that last year, when we met, the Rapz committee, we carried forward 463,000. And then,
We took money away from that though,
right,
okay?
and then we took 60,000 away to give to the Opera, 15,000 for the Summer Citizens Program, but that still put us carried forward 388,000.
Right.
If you take the 388 plus what's been allocated, that 3,050,000, that's almost, if we wanted to, which I don't think we do, but I suggest we don't, is that we could award everybody 100% of what they requested.
Yes.
Again, you probably don't want to do that, but my question, as I went through this,
And I should have said that, but that's what's.
I found the number. So much money, we were very concerned about how much tax we were going to.
found it.
Because Utah Opera
Good to
always
know.
talks about how much money they bring in and several others type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But without them bringing anything in, we still beat what we had the prior year by $300,000. So my question was, where did the other 300,000 come from, or even the additional 2.7?
That was from Washington DC. We,
for who? For us?
of our tax revenue, you mean?
No, for the RAPS money itself, RAPS and restaurant.
We were all just shocked.
Yeah.
How well we still did here
We actually-
economically.
Yeah.
We actually did better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without the other people that bring in supposedly a lot of, well, not supposedly, they did bring in a lot of money,
Yeah.
but somewhere, I'd have to think of the pandemic, we all thought, and still wonder, where did all that additional revenue come from?
When you said facetiously, I think, that it came from Washington,
Yeah.
you're not saying we got there's not a dump
We
of
get a direct
Washington money.
allocation, yeah, what I meant facetiously was that everybody got checks in the mail.
And they spend them in restaurants.
They spent them locally in restaurants or purchasing other things. And that was the intent, I think, of that money, was they wanted to keep our economy going. But I think there were other factors as well. I'll talk about restaurants, for example. Restaurants in our county, our revenue went up 2% last year. So we had an increase in restaurant revenue last year over the previous year. It didn't grow as much as in previous years. It had grown more than 2% each year. This year it still grew, but it only grew by 2%. But I think that's fantastic, because if you look at, like in New York, for example, 30% of the restaurants, this is like over a month ago I heard this, it's probably higher by now. Over 30% of their restaurants are out of business, shut down, completely closed, probably never open again.
Did our people just eat out more?
Yes.
We did not have more traffic through the valley. We didn't have the Somerson citizens.
We didn't have summer citizens, not very many. I know some people still came out, but there were a couple of things that happened. One is there was an active campaign led by our Visitors Bureau here to encourage people to support our local restaurants.
Eat out.
And eat out. And there was another thing that happened. They, along with a number of our local restaurants, got together and created a program to provide free delivery of that food. And I don't know if they're still doing that, but that's something that was brought together as well. So, and then I would say that the third thing that happened is our leaders, including our county council, were very supportive of keeping our economy open. And our economy was kept open to a much greater extent than those in other parts of our country.
And state.
And
Open
even
but safe.
What's that?
Open but safe.
Open but safe, yes. So there were some policy decisions made here that I think made a big difference for our economy, and we're seeing it in these numbers because we didn't have the drop. I think that was wise of all of you last year to hold back some funds and be able to help out this year. So I think since we have those funds, that we should continue to help our economy to grow, and we should get those funds flowing. So speaking of those funds, Betty gave me this spreadsheet, and I'm going to see if I can explain this to all of you. Does everyone have this spreadsheet that you gave me? So this is the one that I'm looking at. It looks like this with the colors, the yellow and the orange. And so if you look at the first column where it says 2021 restaurant funds available, the next line under that says 2021 total. So that's how much money came in from this past year's revenue. So we have a little over 1.2 million available to spend. And then there was 61,000 left over from last year that you held back. And then below that in the yellow are projects that are eligible to be funded with that money. And Betty, remind me again, the blue versus the orange?
The blue can only come out of that category, out of the restaurant category. The orange can come out of
Others as
the
well.
Rapz
Okay.
Parks category.
So these ones that are blue, if we fund them, they can only be funded with restaurant funds.
Right.
The ones that are orange in that column could flow into the Rapz column,
The parks, yeah.
the Rapz Parks column. So, so that shows a total requested there that could be eligible for that of 2.1 million. And then down at the very bottom, it's not labeled, but that very last line that says 1.5 million, 1,582,000, that is leftover money, leftover restaurant money. So restaurant tax money, we actually have about 2.8 million, so almost 3 million available in restaurant funds that we could allocate. Just restaurant funds, almost 3 million. The next column, we have Rapz cultural and botanical funds available. And you'll see we have 834,000. Betty, I didn't notice this before, but I see that it's 834,000 there and 734,000 in the next column, Rapz recreation.
Right, so that's each category, what's available in each category.
Why are they not the same? Isn't it 45%?
No, from this one sheet that we give you, out of what comes out of the Rapz tax, after the administrative cost, then you take 40%, and that goes into cultural. Out of, and then 40, let's see, 40%, and then 10% goes to zoo, and the remainder goes to parks. This one.
Okay,
This one. So these are where I got those numbers.
so cultural and botanical is 40%,
Right. And then this is, parks is 50.
Parks and Rec is 50.
But it takes out the population allocation, and then the remainder is left, then the zoo has 10.
Okay, so maybe I misspoke earlier, because I said earlier that it was equal. I thought I was told that it was originally not equal, but that it was made equal, the shares between the two of those.
Out of the 40% comes the administrative, well, the administrative fee comes out first. And then we take 40% of that. Then the 50% is the parks, and we take 15% out for population allocation.
15% of the 50%.
15 of the 50, and then the 10%. Yeah. Does that help?
15% of which 50?
Of
Parks
the
and Rec.
Parks and Rec
Then
goes
15,
to population allocation.
and then the 10% for the zoo.
Okay. Okay, so this, okay, yeah, I'm just looking at the code now. So
Okay.
allocate 40% after administrative costs to cultural and botanical. Allocate 50% after administrative costs to Parks and Rec, and 15% of that 50% will be allocated proportional to city population. Okay. So I did misspeak earlier about the split between them. It's 10
Percent of the,
10 to zoo, 50 to parks, and 40 to cultural and botanical. Okay, so back to where I was on the second column of the spreadsheet, under the Rapz cultural and botanical, the total that's available this year is 834,000. What was left over from last year was 248,000. And the projects that are listed below are all projects that could only be funded from this category. And then they total, looks like just over $1 million worth. And then, so we have over $1 million worth to spend in that category, and there's $1 million worth to, almost $1 million, or almost as much requests as we have money available. However, we do have another 200,000 available from fund balance left over from previous years before 2021, or before 2020. So that's that 199,351 at the bottom. So the total that we have available for that category is about 1.3 million, almost 1.3 million is what is available, which that number is not showing on this column, but I'm just adding the 199 from the bottom plus the 834 on top and the 248. So that comes out to about 1.3 million that's available. So we have about 1.3 million available there and only 1 million in requests. So even if we fully funded everybody there, we'd have 300,000 left over. If we fully funded everybody in the restaurant category, we'd have, what was it, over $1 million left over. And then the third column is Rapz Parks, and in that category we have 730,000 available this year for that. We have 48,000 that was left over from the previous year, so that's almost 800,000. And if you look at the very bottom line, there was almost 600,000, so that's about 1.4 million available to be spent there. And right now we're only showing about 50,000 in requests in that category. So we'd have over $1 million left. So even if we fully funded everybody who's eligible, I guess if we added those up, we're still going to have over $2 million left over in these. Even if we fully funded everybody who asked this year, we'd have over $2 million left over to be able to have for next year. Over $2 million left. So does anybody have any questions about any of these numbers?
I have a question. It sounds like that we haven't communicated well to our cities because they're
exploding. I mean, I see people coming and things happening, and I know that there needs to be trails and all those sort of things. Have we talked with the cities to say, hey, give us some plans for what we need in the parks? Because we want to have a great community here. We want to be able to have people come that they can, you know, take the trails and their bikes and the parks, their kids to the park. I mean, I know we have big parks, and that's one of my concerns in some of the areas is we don't have some of the community parks, or can we partner with some of the developers or things? What is it that, what can we as a committee help, or is there nothing we can do, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before I answer that, I just remembered one thing I didn't mention on this before we move on from this.
Okay.
It's, Betty, all these fund balances on the bottom, those are uncommitted fund balances?
Uncommitted.
Okay, just want to clarify that. So that's not, that money has not been promised to anybody else for anything else?
No.
Okay. So that's an excellent point. And it's curious this year that we received so few applications, because one might think people are really hurting, and some organizations I think are, and we're seeing that in their applications. But I think on the city side, they were not hurting last year, because they all got a ton of money from the federal government also, and they were busy figuring out ways to spend all of that money. I know I was working for Nibley City last year, and they got millions, or not millions, about $750,000 that they had to figure out how to spend and use on projects from the federal government. And if you look actually at page 3 of 6 of the one that we got today with the scores on it, under recreation facility, we got an application from River Heights, Logan, Cache County, Hiram, Richmond, Smithfield, Cornish, Millville, Amalga, more from Logan, more from the county, Millville, and Providence. So how many cities is that? 1, 2, 4, 5,
Some that I think are, like North Logan, that are already awarded some.
Yeah, so I think it's about 10 cities that I'm seeing there out of 19. So at least half of our cities, and you're correct, cities like Hyde Park, North Logan, and Nibley have been basically pre-allocated some other funds for some special projects they helped the county out with. And so they're kind of already awarded. So we have more than half of the cities who are being awarded, but probably who's most underrepresented on here is the smaller cities. Yeah, the smaller ones out there.
I think this committee really does try to look at their needs, though. In the
Yeah,
past, I've
yeah.
seen,
But the problem is, a lot of their requests aren't coming in. They don't have the staff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
see.
gonna say.
You know,
the really small ones.
They don't have the staff to fill out that application and get those bids and to, you know, and work all that stuff. And that's what's kind of heartfelt to
Yeah.
a lot of those smaller towns.
You know, I wonder, this is an idea, I'm glad you brought
And
this
there's
up.
even, sorry, but there's
Yeah.
even a few that are unincorporated. You know, that they have parks, but they're unincorporated, and there's no one, to look out after their
Yeah.
needs. Benson, Young Ward, you know, all these places there that
Yeah.
So this is something.
their needs aren't even being met.
This is something I just thought of. Our Development Services Office has a countywide planner, and the countywide planner's job is to help the various communities, especially the smaller ones, with planning activities. I'm gonna talk to them about this specifically, because I bet this is not on their list of things to help the smaller cities with, to go after Rapz money for their parks and recreation amenities. But it should be, and I think our trail planner needs to know about that too, because, and I know she does, but I don't know if she's thought about it specifically from that perspective of some of these towns out there might not even realize that if they had a trail project, they could apply for these funds, and they might not even know where to start to do that. So I'm gonna take that as an action item, to talk to both of those staff members about making sure they reach out to the smaller cities.
More question. Apologize. I think I must have missed something in what you were saying, Dave. David, relative to how much money that we have left over, if everybody is fully funded, you said $2 million?
I just did that all in my head, so
That's
if I was
close
wrong.
enough. 51.8, 2.2, in that ballpark.
Yeah,
You know, this is where I have a struggle. If we take what was allocated this year, the 3,049,000, and we take what carried over from last year, basically 400,000, you're up to about 3.4 million that we've got to expend. And that's what people have requested, is basically 3.4. So I'm saying, where do we get the 2 million excess?
Where is that coming from?
Yeah,
Okay, that's coming from all of the years previous to this. So every year, I guess for the past 20 years, we've had a little bit left over each year.
but after it's, how many years do they have to use it? 2?
Right.
Two years, and it should go away. So if that's the case, I wouldn't think there's $2 million left over from prior 2 years.
There is.
There is that much?
Yeah,
There's
a little bit.
Yeah, these bottom
8
three
years.
columns, on the very bottom, the one that's
Yeah.
not labeled, the 1.5, the 199, that is all money that's accumulated for the past 20 years. So a little bit each year, a little bit each year, and some of it may be people asked for 300,000, they only needed 250, or they never used it, or it just never got allocated at all. So it's accumulated, it's been adding up, so we've got, before we even look at last year's or this year's, last year's holdover or this year's new money, we were starting off with over $2 million in the bank.
I have a question. I know that there's a time frame that people have to apply. Is it possible to open up another time frame for part of that fund?
We're completed.
Or is it just, is it set that for this year, that's all that we can fund?
That's a good question. I probably would want to confirm with our attorneys if that would be legal, but my guess would be that yes, the county council could authorize that. Her question was, if we have $2 million that's probably still gonna be left over, unless we decide to give people extra money that they didn't even ask for, we'll probably still have at least 2 million left over. Her question was, could we reopen the application time period and allow people to submit more applications? And my answer was, I'm not 100% sure. I would want to check with our county attorney and see if there is any prohibition on that in either our county code or in state law. But I would guess that probably the county council could authorize that.
Or could the county council themselves allocate some of those funds to some of the needs, to some of these smaller schools? Or does it need to come back to this committee?
I know this number has come up before, not quite that much, you know, but I know we have talked about that in planning for, well, when we did the cash event center down there, when we did, you know, a lot of these different things that you don't know are coming down the road to develop. I think we're in the process of looking at expanding from the cash event center and looking at the armory down there. You know, and then there might be a couple other large projects that require, you know, a substantial, you know, cash outlay and stuff. A lot of those could be used for that.
So the county council could maybe fund those
They
events,
could.
which would be a,
And so that, I won't say it's a slush, but I will say it is that backup for some of those. It gives the county a lot of stability when some of these things do come up. That is a lot, but I'm saying it gives you a lot of stability and later to possibly, hey, we got a big project coming on. Yes, we can fund that without having to bond.
I like that. My nature and training, professional training says, oh my goodness, let's not just spend it just to spend it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Because there will be something come up. There always is.
There always
It would be good to know that we have that if we needed it, though.
Okay.
Yes,
And the county is aware of it.
yes.
Yeah.
I know that we've talked about that before.
Andy had a question.
Yeah, it has to do with the amount which we give. It seems to me in the past years that very often there have been people who have requested, say, 30,000 and gotten 10,000, amount a good bit smaller. And yet we have all of this excess, so we haven't always given, it seems to me,
Yeah.
what was available to be given.
And that was done, I believe, in the past because there wasn't enough money to go around, right?
And part of it is based on how we rate the request and the project.
Yeah,
If they are requesting 30 and the project costs 30, I'm not impressed by that. Whereas a city next door has a project for 30 and they request 15 and they come up within their own community, volunteer or
Their
whatever,
Personal
for
investment
15,
somewhere.
then that makes more sense to me. They have more vested in the project rather than just, oh, give me 30 grand, you got it, and we'll do the whole project.
And that's the criteria that we've always used as we went through and looked at each one of them. Whether they're asked for 400,000 or whether they're asked for 30,000 or even 10,000.
The quality of the project, I think you look at, and how many people they're serving. Somebody requests 30 and they're serving 500 people, and somebody requests 30 and they're serving 10,000 people.
yeah.
That ranks a lot higher for me.
And we've also looked at the fact of how much cash they have on hand.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're overloaded with cash. You can see
Yeah,
that they
they're-
have.
They budget
And
for
if-
an excess, yeah.
Yes. You know, so there's a lot, and that's why these books are valuable, is because you can go through and you can say, hey, they increased their cash.
Okay, so based on that, I think that's a really good segue, thanks Andy, into
One thing about the airport,
our ranking.
it did start in December, so I don't know exactly the progress of it, but we got it and it has begun.
Okay, so it's underway. Thanks for checking on that, I appreciate that. Okay, so I think, and speaking of which, I apologize, I didn't introduce Andy. Andy's the one new member. All the rest of you have been here before.
I'm a greenie.
And Andy Jorgensen, the previous incumbent in her seat was Jordy Guth, also from Logan, from the same district. She was recently asked to serve on the Logan City Planning Commission, and she felt like that was too much on her plate, and she wanted to focus on that. So she stepped down, and I worked with our council member from that district to find out, Carl Ward, to find out some suggestions that he might have, and he recommended Andy very highly. Andy's actually been involved in many of these types of programs and projects and committees over the years, and I talked to her and convinced her to serve. So thank you, Andy, for being here and serving today. And if you have questions, absolutely. We've got some veterans in this group who've been through this process before, but you and I are new, so if you have questions, please ask, because it might be a question I have too. So with that, if there aren't any other questions or items of business, I guess we've been under item number 2 on our agenda. We'll move to number 3, items of discussion, which includes reviewing the rankings and determining the allocation recommendations for these projects. I'm not sure your exact process for going through this in the past or what you'd like to do today, but my assumption is that we'll just start at the top of this list we got from Betty with the highest ranked project first, which I think that's probably a good way to go about it. But the highest ranked project is probably a good place to start. So without objection, I'll go ahead and just start at the top of this list and start moving through. I guess one more item of business that I forgot to mention. We are scheduled today from 10 until 1, and since we are going through lunch, Janine is getting lunches for us, and at whatever point she gets here with our lunches, maybe we'll take a 5-minute recess and let everyone grab their lunch. And my thought was that we would have a working lunch, continue to work through our list and just eat where we are.
Are you bumping up against something else on your schedule at 1?
That's what I was just looking at right now to remind myself what I had on.
Because if we're not, I just assume get the thing done in one meeting.
Yeah, well, that was my hope too. I do have something else at 1, and if I need to push through and skip that, I can.
What you get done today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think
yeah.
that's the feeling of most.
that was my thought, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually, I met with the council chairwoman, Gina Worthen, about their agenda for next Tuesday, and she has placed this on their agenda for next Tuesday, anticipating that this group would have a recommendation today. So,
I don't know that we'll be done by 1, so you know.
okay, so she
I'm
felt
planning
like,
for 2.
We'll have to hurry.
yeah, she felt like with all the money available, it might be an easier process and that we might be able to do this in one meeting today. And I told her I felt that way too. However, I said that with zero experience serving on this committee. So we'll see how long this actually takes. And if we can't get through it today and we need to reschedule, they can bump that off of their agenda and we'll put it on the next one. Her thought process and mine was just that we'd like to get this money flowing into the economy, because even though we talked about how some things have worked out better than we thought over the last year, a number of these organizations have really struggled over the last year, and we'd like to get their money flowing as soon as possible. And they do have some things that they need to get going on. We did get this email from the opera, for example, because there was a question that Betty had about whether or not they were going to have a season. And they actually just the day before yesterday had their press conference, big announcement about the season they are having. So I know there are groups like theirs that need the money to be flowing and approved and know for sure before they go out there and spend it all. So so on the lunches, whenever they get here, we'll just take a few minute recess and grab that, and please feel free to just eat where we are and continue with our working meeting. So if there's nothing else, let's jump into this list. And the top project here is American West Heritage Center, top scoring project for their 2021 programming capital maintenance request. They requested $36,500.
They also have a second request. Generally, we've looked at them together.
Oh, okay, good point. And what number is
That's
that?
over on page 5.
Operational? No.
Both of them are ranked high.
Okay, so it's listed as project number 3 on page 5, American West Heritage Center 2021 operational support of $93,500. Okay, so we have those two before us. Is there a recommendation? How do you normally start this? Do you start with a recommendation or just open discussion?
Open discussion, and then somebody says, finally, I recommend, and then we say, yeah, I'll go with that, or.
Okay, so what discussion is there on the 2 American West Heritage Center projects?
Their cash actually went up $50,000 over the year. That's one of the things that I noticed, which is a good thing.
I think that was a COVID, didn't they get a bunch of the COVID relief money
Yeah,
too?
they got money from the county.
On the COVID, so, which has actually helped a lot
Yeah.
of their standing within financially, you know. So.
Tree's gonna be in restaurant, where's gonna be in,
So, based on that, are there any other comments about their requests?
Last year, we gave them $115,000 between the 2 projects, I think.
Okay.
Last year, we went with the,
I was 105, so we're pretty dang close.
35 and 35 from last year.
80 and 35 is 115,
What's that?
isn't it? 80 and 35 is 115?
I went 80 and 25.
Oh, you're recommending?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm, you know, we're thinking on the
Okay.
initially.
So, when we make these recommendations, are we making a recommendation of which of these columns to put in, restaurant or Rapz? Or are you gonna tell us, Betty, or are you just gonna figure it out?
I'm gonna figure it out.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, she's filling out
Okay.
the spreadsheet as we go.
We know based on the previous spreadsheet that it'll fit at the numbers requested, so if we
Yeah.
lower them.
And then
it'll
she'll
fit
come
more.
up with hey, we're overspending on this,
Okay.
so we try to balance it and move it to the other
So
column.
you're saying
if they're-
80 on the operational support and 25, is that what you're saying?
That's what I had, but, you know, and
What are you basing that on? What's your thought process there?
Just a gut feel.
between that and, you know, and I think they've very effectively everything that they have spent in the past. And I didn't see any big new projects they were coming up with that would require an additional chunk of money. You know,
Higher wages, that's always what everybody wants, right? You gotta pay more money to get people to work. It's pretty tough to get people to come to work right now.
Extremely.
Okay, so let's take these individually. So, number 4, American West Heritage Center 2021 programming, 36,500 is their request. Is there a motion for a specific amount on that one?
I'd recommend 10,000 more
10,000 more than,
Then last
than
year.
what you, no.
Then
It
what?
was 115 total last year. And what Gordon's recommended is,
Dave?
Dave is 105.
Your recommendation
You're
combined
115.
between the two. So what's your recommendation on this one, this number 4?
Well, then,
I'd probably go with 90. Split the
Go.
difference.
Well, number
Go.
4, their request is 36,500. Would someone like to make a recommendation or a motion for what amount you'd like?
I recommend 30,000 for that and 80 for their other.
30 and 80, that's what I would recommend.
Okay,
and,
so we have a motion for 30,000 and for their first project and 80,000 for their project number 3 on page 5. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any further discussion on 30 plus 80? No?
So, can I just, I mean,
Yes.
We go back, there's some that we'll go through, in the past, there's some that we'll go through and say, let's do this initially, but maybe come back.
Put a question on
Okay,
it.
and I,
we can do that.
yeah, I don't know if I'd make it official motions yet.
We
You know,
just
let's work
pencil in
through it.
numbers.
Well, I just want to make sure everybody's on board with
Yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah.
I'm not sure of a better way.
I don't want to, yeah,
other than
I agree,
head
but
nods, but,
I
why
agree.
are we not gonna fund them their full amount?
Yeah.
We've got the money.
yeah. Well,
What's
yeah.
your thought process? I guess I look at these this year and I think there's a few there in my mind that we probably don't want to give them all the money, but these two, it doesn't make any sense to me. If we have $2 million left over, why we wouldn't fund them the full amount?
That's me.
Bruce?
Unless we
I'm
just,
trying to decide how to couch this.
well, just,
Because if we do, they're gonna come back and request more next year, and they're gonna have to cut back if our economy does not support that sales tax.
I agree.
Or the requests. The
Where,
requests
right,
are likely to be
where we're
much higher
funding
next
them
year.
now is what they have been operating on for the last, at least the last 2 years, based on what we've given them,
Have been doing it efficiently as well.
and been
I
doing
mean,
it
it makes them
efficiently.
be a little smarter on what they're doing. And, again, if you give somebody, give, it's just like on the pandemic and all the different things that the stimulus money that we're getting. That's why we're having a hard time finding people to work. So they can sit home on the rear end and make more money between unemployment and stimulus than they can out working.
Yeah, so, the question was, why not just give them everything they requested? And this this question could apply equally to all of the applications here.
Exactly.
We have $2 million surplus, why not just fully fund everybody? Make a motion right now, fully fund everyone, and we're done, and we'll wait for our lunch to get here and be done. We could
well,
do
I think
that,
there's some of them that probably we
Yeah.
shouldn't fully fund.
Yeah,
But this
we
one,
could
to
do
me,
that. and that's,
But I agree with what you're saying,
Yeah.
that is, but
And
Okay, now-
to that end, if you think that it's good, make your argument,
That's-
and we may go with you.
You know, in other
Yeah.
words, you think, okay, now, that's I want to hear, with your experience,
I think we should fund those two at the amount that they ask. As I read through them, I don't see any reason why there's anything frivolous in there that they've asked for.
They bring a lot of people from out of the county at certain times of the year.
Yep.
It's a facility that lots of people can use from all around. I understand your point.
okay, so is that a substitute motion that you're
No, I'm not gonna
making?
make a motion, I think we just discuss, and as we move through this, there's some of these that I think we should just give them all the money they ask for.
Yeah,
My opinion is
No,
these
that's
two,
great.
we should give them all the money, that's my opinion.
so I heard some good responses to that, of why not just fully fund everyone? And those responses were, we don't necessarily want them to become dependent on these funds. And we want them to continue to be careful with their expenditures and know that they shouldn't be dependent on these funds. Our applications next year are likely to be higher when people find out we had money left on the table this time. People are gonna probably ask for more money next time. Yes, Becky?
I suggest if we go with the higher funds, that we let the people know that this is a one-time thing, that this is not something that they can expect in the future. Hey, we can just keep adding.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe in our letter, when we draft it, Betty, we should specifically say that to people. We should come up with some language that says something like, we had some extra money this year, but don't count on it for next year. We don't anticipate that for next year.
But they will forget that.
Yeah, they probably will.
And they will be reminded.
Fact of life, you
I
can
think
put
our
it in-
president
They'll just
says
look
you
at, how
put
much
it
did
in
we get
bold
last
and
year?
capitals, and they're still gonna say,
Okay.
I can't remember you saying that.
Well,
Are there other projects?
we all rated these pretty high. It's the highest scoring thing in there. We all rated it high, so
Projects that the county can spend this
Yeah.
money
I'm
more
willing.
efficiently on.
Yeah.
I'm willing to concede
I am
and go
too.
with what he says,
I am
with,
too.
with what Dick says.
Okay, so would someone like to make a substitute motion then?
Don't go through
I
the
think
motions,
that's-
Dave.
Let-
Don't go through the
I
motions.
wanna
Yeah,
do that.
just-
I don't know another way to do this.
Just say pencil it
agree.
in and we'll pencil it
Yeah,
in.
Okay, I have a
we
substitute
agree.
motion to give them full amount. I heard a motion and a second to do that.
let's do it.
So, let's just vote on that. Everybody in favor of that, say aye.
Yep.
Aye? Okay, good. I don't know another way to do this fairly.
Well, I do by 1 o'clock, there's another way we can do it faster.
I just feel like that's a faster way to do it, and it's a fair way that allows everybody to speak and have their piece.
Okay.
Instead of just whoever's loudest or whoever spoke last. I want it to be fair, and this is a tried and true process that many organizations have used, Robert's Rules of Order, and it keeps the meeting orderly, so I hope you'll be okay with
I
that.
would just suggest, instead of going to 36.5, make it an even 35 and an even 93, just to be better. That way we cut it back a little bit at the same time. It's not that much money.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Is there,
36.
okay, so I heard a
Okay.
motion and a second to redo that, to tell me again the numbers?
36 and 93.
36 and 93.
35, 90.
35 and 93, so if we're rounding it down to 35 and 93. Okay, any more discussion on that? All in favor of that one, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, everybody is okay with that.
So you went with 35, not 36?
We had another substitute motion, 35
Okay.
and
Okay.
96. Okay, next,
But wait, 96? Didn't they
90.
have to ask? 93, right?
93.
90, she said, I thought you said 90. You say 93?
35 and 93.
Okay, okay, thank you.
okay, next on our list, it's listed as project number 2 is American Festival Chorus and Orchestra. And it's,
They do a great job. We've given them 30,000 a year for the last 5 years. I recommend doing the same thing.
Second.
Second.
okay,
Total
we have a
agreement.
motion and a second on that. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that one's approved at 30,000. Okay, next we have number 50, Stokes Nature Center, $35,000 request.
But these are all subject to change as Betty gets the numbers. We have to move them.
Okay, number 50 on our project list, Stokes Nature Center. And they asked for $35,000. Any discussion on that?
We gave them 20 and 25 in the prior 2 years.
I put them at 25 again.
I'd go with that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for 25,000. Any other discussion about them?
That's what I think.
25,000? Okay, seeing no other discussion, all in favor of 25,000 for Stokes Nature Center, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one carries unanimously. Okay, next we have Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater. They scored 4th highest on this list. And they have asked for 452,000. They had a couple, didn't they?
They have 4.
$600,000 or more altogether.
Okay,
Their
so,
numbers are 53, 54, 55, and 56.
okay, so on,
I got some discussion on this one.
okay. Page 2 is project 55 for 10,000.
This is the one that I think I have comments. I feel I'm being bullied in their application. I support them, I understand, but I feel that I'm being bullied in their application. Now, that being said, they want us to support 10% of their budget. But if you go to this sheet in their application that lists all of their money, and you go down and you look at their expenses and their income, it's inflated. Okay? If you look down the income side, you see it says Utah Theater, $150,000 of income. And if you go over and look at the expenses, there's $150,000. They have rented the theater, the Utah Theater, out to themselves, and they show 150 income and 150 in expense. And if you go down and look at the apartments, they've got the apartments in at $500,000 in their income. And if you go, if you back out these duplications in here, you find out that the $450,000 that we're already giving them is about 10% of their budget. And they're asking for more by inflating their budget numbers. And I think that we've been very fair with them. And anyway,
They did tell me that I met with them, or they asked to meet with me about this, and they told me that's what they were asking for was 10%.
They've been
yeah, but they're inflating their budget
to get to 10%.
To get to that 10%.
They're inflating their budget. What we have given them in the past represents 10% of what their real budget is.
Okay.
Yeah, what their real budget is.
Okay.
Because what they have done in the past also is continually increase their expenses, but their revenue, because the Utah Theater only holds so many people, the Eccles Center only holds so many people, and so no matter, they keep saying, we need more money because our expenses are higher. Well, what's happening, in my opinion, is that basically they're taking something that they've always been able to fill to capacity, their seating, and they can't get any more, but yet their expenses, they have more shows now and so forth, but they can't get any more revenue to help with their expenses. And like Bruce said, they just keep, in my opinion, they keep inflating what their expenses are.
Okay, so based on that concern, would you like to make a recommendation for a different amount?
Yes.
Can I speak before you do?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't, from my standpoint, the people I represent, I don't think that for total, they're asking for $620,000. I don't think that represents the county, the people who are served by that in the total amount of money. Does that make sense? I think.
One of their arguments is that they bring in all of these people that are generating all of this sales tax. And Reed pointed out that they didn't have any activity this last year and our sales tax went up.
Yeah.
Well,
Isn't that why you brought that up?
It was a weird year for sure. So is what you're saying, you're not sure you like the idea of spending so much on this because you feel like their service that they provide doesn't necessarily serve
Everybody in the county.
everybody in our county?
But as a counter to that too, you need to understand that they are bringing in part of the reason that some of those summer citizens come, which benefits all of the county to have them here.
And going to the Summer Citizens Program, which we haven't got to yet, it's basically the same thing. The summer citizens have been here for years. The reason they keep coming back is maybe before the opera,
Yeah.
they were always here. There was a bunch of people that would be here.
Who started the Summer Citizens Program? Do you know?
University did, I think.
University
University
I was
did.
told it was the opera, but I don't know for sure.
Utah State started the Summer Citizen Program.
They bring them in and live in their facilities.
They lived in their facilities to start with.
You make a good point, Dick. I've never been to the opera. I
It's
don't
great.
understand it. I don't understand it. It doesn't seem interesting to me. So they've not ever served me directly, and I think, I know a lot of people who haven't. However, they do bring in tourists, and,
They do.
and I think there are a lot of things on this list where, there are a lot of things on here I've never been to.
Right.
And let me speak in their behalf also, though, is that they do have an outreach program that goes to elementary schools. And I have been, because of my grandchildren, to some of those presentations where they go in and they help these kids learn to sing and write scripts and act and make costumes, and they are marvelous presentations that bring culture to those kids in schools throughout the county, not just throughout the county, they go outside of the valley sometimes.
Yeah, this is something I always say, I've been saying this for a while. I make the claim that Cache County has more arts and culture per capita than anywhere else. And I don't know if there's a way really to measure that or quantify that, but I believe it's true. We have a lot of arts and culture here, and that's one of the things I love about our county. I love the fact that we have all of that, and I think it's something that translates into so many other areas of quality of life for our community, including even things like public safety. And that's why I am supportive of the arts, and I'm supportive of this organization. There may be some questions about whether or not they serve everyone. I agree they don't. You could probably say that about everyone on this group. The question really is, in my mind, is this a good investment for us?
Let me make a recommendation, okay, based on my numbers. I took their budget numbers. I took the $150,000 that they put in there for the Utah Theater. I took the $525,000 for the apartments. I took $80,000 out for their non-cash contributions. They have people that volunteer that they valued at $80,000. So I took those numbers, added them up, they came to $755,000. 10% of that is $75,000. Then I took their $453,000 that they requested, and I backed off $75,000, and that came up with $398,000. How much did we give them last year between all their projects?
Last year we gave them 350,000.
So this, if we gave them 398, that would give them a little bit of an increase.
But then it went to the county council,
And they got another 60.
and then there was some,
Okay.
Of this money?
Then give them
political things
$398,000, and that gives them the,
Additional is in that.
What's that?
The additional amount is included in those numbers.
Okay, so that number counts the extra money.
Okay.
The extra
Okay.
60 is in there.
So we from this committee gave them less than that number. Okay.
If we allocate, they're asking for $620,000 altogether.
oh, that's right, 453 plus 150.
So can we come up with a number for all of those projects? They're asking for, well, they've got, what, 55, 53, 54, 50, there's 5 projects there. Could we give them $500,000?
Can I interject one thing? We also, from the county, gave them $185,000 in COVID money last year, and they will be able to apply for more COVID money this year.
Not necessarily. That's not correct.
It's not, oh, sorry.
That's not correct.
Okay.
The county has not decided what they're doing with the COVID money this year. There hasn't been any decision to open it up for more applications or anything. So, that's still to be determined. We still don't have the rules from the federal government on what exactly we can use the money for. So there hasn't been any determination, and I don't know if the county's gonna wanna do that. So that hasn't been determined.
See, they increased their cash from
That's-
241,000 up to
Exactly.
486,000.
Their position increased about what we gave them.
I have been in one of those promotional meetings as well, when they've come to my office, I think some of you else, and I'm sorry.
So my understanding is,
Invited to.
my understanding is they didn't have any income last year because they canceled everything. But they also laid everybody off and didn't really pay anybody. So that is what basically kept them about even, it looks like, plus what we gave them.
Which, when they came in for that money, that they needed that to make sure that these 20 employees
Would be around.
through, and then, you know, that they'd be able to, still be able to, get things ready for the next year and everything, and I don't know how much that really happened. You know, that's what I was worried about. When they increased all of a sudden the cash up, I go, we just gave them a pot of money again.
Andy, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about their future. I'm assuming that Vanessa Ballum is perfectly capable of carrying on, but Michael is not young. And so I don't know how the organization is going to continue. And it's a little kind of scary thing to talk about, I guess. But
That's a good question. I don't know what their future holds. and
As a
I don't
county
know if they do.
council, we even sent Carl Ward to be on that committee to oversee those things. And he came back as a sounding voice, but we didn't get any details.
So you made a comment about money, and then it sounded like you were making a recommendation, Dick.
If we gave them $500,000 out of the $620,000 that they asked for, that's still a very generous amount of money. That's for the 5 projects altogether.
We got 4.
I thought I had
In 2016, we gave them 245, 2017, 285,
59.
2018, 310, 2019, 350,
Maybe I'm, maybe.
and last year, 235.
So I'll say this, I said earlier that I'm not necessarily a fan of opera. I've never been to such a thing, and perhaps I'm not cultured enough, but however, I view them as a critical piece of our economy. And even though I'm not a fan of their particular brand of art, I am convinced that they are very critical to our economy, to our summer citizen program, and to our overall art, culture, and community in Cache County. And I am supportive of funding them. However, I would also be supportive of some alternate proposals for different amounts. So I just wanted to put that out there.
My apology, there are only 4 projects.
Okay, so 4
Five
projects.
wrong one
So
there, sorry.
Dick, were you making a recommendation?
I would recommend we give them $500,000, and that's still a pretty generous one.
That's extremely.
And
It's
and
extremely
do you have
generous.
a particular recommendation of how you'd like to split that
Give
up?
it to them and let them decide how they want to use it. Can we do that, Betty?
You really ought to do it by the application.
Yes.
By the application.
Okay,
We have
sorry.
to.
So we could fund,
Go 450.
I'm inclined, my recommendation would have been 400, but I'm willing to go 450, but I'm uncomfortable with 500.
Okay.
I feel the same way.
so,
I think I'm more into that 425 to 450. That's where as I look at it, I still think that's with the fewer number of projects they have this summer, which they have scaled back to 5, I believe,
Whatever they gave us.
whatever that,
100,000 more than we've given them ever in the past.
right.
5 projects.
Five,
Was it
I believe.
5?
Was it 5 on that, did I?
Five shows.
They usually
And
have.
I thought the period time was condensed quite a bit
It
too.
is. It's over a month.
Only, yeah, a month.
Okay, so
July
let's
1st
do
to
this,
July
let's
30th.
Yeah.
figure out our total amount we want to
So-
give them, and then let's figure out how we want to divvy it up between their
I would
applications.
recommend 450.
Okay, so I heard 500, 450,
I will,
450 again.
and I will second the 450.
Okay,
for
so
right
I hear a motion and a second for 450. Is there any further discussion on the total amount of 450? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of 450,000? Aye. Any opposed to that? Okay, so now that we've determined that that's what we're going to give them, do you want to just put it all in this project 53 and not fund the other ones?
No,
Or do you want to split it up?
no, we need to send a
Let's split
message
it
by
up.
where we put it.
Okay, so what would be your recommendation then for, let's start with project 53 on the first page where they asked for 452,000. What's your recommendation for how much we give them there?
Wait, where?
300 to that?
On the first page of our score sheet,
Oh,
project number 53, they asked for 452,000.
I'd go 350, 125.
Which one is 125?
What's that?
What number is 125?
54, I'm sorry. 54 to 125, that gives us 370. No.
That's more than.
I'm already above that.
Okay, Bruce, you have a recommendation?
I recommend that we allocate nothing to the Utah Theater marketing.
Nothing to marketing.
Yeah, I agree with
I will
that.
second that one.
And on
Is that
number,
56?
and, pardon?
Was that 56?
56.
Yeah.
And on number 55, the Utah Theater operations, I recommend nothing there.
Okay, so that leaves the other two projects that would get split with the 450. And what's your recommendation on those two?
Well, you-
I recommend 50,000 for marketing
And 400?
and 400
Okay.
to ensure the financial support.
Okay, so I'm
I
gonna
like
recognize that all as one motion,
I like,
and Dave
I'll second
seconded
that.
to split up the 450, by giving 400
To
to
project 53,
project 53, giving 50 to project
54.
54, and that the other two projects not be funded. So I have a motion from Bruce and a second from Dave on that, and is there any further discussion on that split?
No.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Are you okay with that? I
I
can
think
tell
I'm
you're
okay
thinking.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's been a controversy over the years over the Utah Theater. That is something that was pushed through by one person
Right.
to, for
You know, I
whatever
look at-
reason, it has been pushed through by one person,
and I understand your concerns, but I also know that my daughter was able, or my grandchild was able to go and have a play there and enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great thing. So I can see the value of it, so I wouldn't want us to necessarily, I guess I'm not.
I think we all feel that there is definite value to that.
To it.
And they're the only ones that I rank five, if you will.
Right.
So I feel strong that they are.
And I
valued in
thought
the
ranked them
community.
very high also.
But I also feel just what Bruce said, that it's almost like, if you don't do this, then this is what's gonna happen.
I guess I just want to make sure that it
That's almost the threat coming
survives,
in,
because I
which I don't like.
have appreciated it as a venue.
Yeah.
It's been good for their little dance team
Yeah.
and.
It is a great amenity
Again,
there.
and it is more local, I think.
Yeah.
And for the
And so-
record, I think the key to the survival of that is not us just giving them money, but the key to me is to change some management within there and look local
Because it is,
Because
it's
there is
local is what
on
I
management
liked
or
about
talent?
it.
on talent. Look local on talent.
And
And I
talent
think your
could be
costs would come down.
Salt Lake.
And you know, I think it would be, you even go Utah, just look local. We don't have to go to New York to find the quality of people
I
who
would-
can do those things.
I would hope that
I
that would
think
be more
that's
local.
the
so-
survivability, and that's the support that you're, all of a sudden, you would see support locally like crazy, I think, if, not just the quality of the production, but when local people are in it. That's just my
Yeah.
point of view.
I
I'll put that on the
appreciate
record.
Okay.
Okay.
If
I'm
we
gonna-
go along with that point of view, then do we need a lot of money for marketing?
Well, the marketing is for the Utah Theater, right? Is that what
Yeah.
it was?
And I
That's
still,
what
So,
I-
so
Yeah.
that
I
makes
still
sense.
have a zero.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm gonna call the question on this. All in favor of the distribution that we just explained, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that? Okay, sounds unanimous, thank you.
They're still landing on 4850, right? 400,000.
400 on project 53 and 50 on project 54. Okay,
Zero, yep.
and the other two were zeros. Next project on our list is project number 19, $100,000 request from Cash Arts for facilities. And I think they had a couple too, right?
And they're getting back and going. They're ramping up and then I had them at 90,000.
In the last 2 years, we've given them 90,000, in 20 and 19,
If you wanna push,
90,000 apiece, and I'd support the 100, or the.
The 100.
Was this their only one? No, they had
no, they've
Number
got,
nine.
number 1 on the page 5.
Well, and they've got,
They got 19,
20.
and 21. There's, out of marketing on 21.
19, 20, and 21, other projects? I can't find 20 for some reason.
20 is on page 1. It's just the third
Oh.
from the bottom.
It's on the very front
I
page,
can't find
okay.
21.
21 is on page 5.
Okay.
It's for marketing.
Okay, so we have 3 projects for them. On page 1, projects 19 and 20
Right.
for 100,000 and 40,000. And then on page 5, project 21 for 25,000. What discussion do we have about those 3?
Okay, like I said, the 19 was in the past 90 and 90. On number 20, we gave them 40 and 40. When I say 40 and 40, I always talk about 2020 and 2019.
Okay,
So I wouldn't be opposed to funding the 40,000, number 19 for 90, number 20 for the 40.
And 21,
on page 5.
I have them at 15, but that's me. Restaurant, yeah.
Yeah. Page 5, tourism promotion.
I thought it was interesting on the camp, said at the yards that the Gaines family, Noel and different people, and they each gave about 32,000, basically $100,000. Back Valley Center, which I thought was
Yeah,
very nice.
it's nice.
This is
So-
one of the best run
Run.
facilities
Oh,
that
yeah,
we have.
if not the best.
I've served on the board for 7 years. I'm not on the board now, but I've served on the board, and Wendy Hassan is
Yeah,
just superb.
Wendy is excellent.
They have great, developed their own foundation and are accumulating investments that will support that in the future. They cut a deal with the Festival Opera Company to use the facility, to give them at a better rate.
Which they're not using this year, by
If
the
they're
way.
not,
The opera will not be using that theater this year.
that's right. But when they are using it, they,
Which again, as you talk about Utah, that means it's even a smaller amount of revenue that can be generated.
Potentially,
Again,
yeah.
the expense is clear up here, we're cutting our expense, so we can get money into the Utah operation.
Sorry,
So-
I shouldn't have thrown us back, but
So you were-
you said 90 and 40.
90, 40,
And
and
does anybody have a recommendation for
I
the
would-
last
So
one?
number 21, we've given them 15 and 15.
and I would actually boost that to 20 for this next
And I
year,
would, and I
20?
would agree with
if
that.
that's okay.
Okay, so we have a,
Between the two of us, we got a motion
okay, we
and
have
a
a motion
second.
from Reed, I'm gonna take, for 90, 40, and 20.
Yes.
And I'm taking Dave as a second on that.
I'll second
sounds
that,
like.
you bet.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on that? So the proposal is for project number 19, give them 90,000, project number 20, give them 40,000, and project number 21, give them 20,000. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Next project, Cache Valley Cowboy Rendezvous.
And they are actually asking quite a bit less than what they have in the past. And they do amazing, I went to it this year down there, and for COVID and everything, they
Yeah.
did an amazing job.
Yeah, it was
And
good.
I love these organizations that have the backbone to go ahead and let's do something. Even though it's protocol, they still worked through things.
Is that a motion to give them $10,000?
It is for me.
Yes.
I see
I
a
would second.
a motion and a second from Reed.
Are you gonna increase it? Because it was 9,900 is what, is
Yeah,
it?
I just rounded it up when I suggested that.
And what we've given them in the past, I think it was like 12 and 12.
Right.
12,
Okay,
Right. But
12,
they only
12,
requested,
10, 8, 8.
yeah, they only requested 9.9,
Nine.
so,
but they know that they're gonna be doing a little bit scaled back, this year, this next year,
And the other
so.
thing, the
I would-
benefit of they
yeah,
actually
I
use
agree
the
with you. I
county.
just wanna make
Right,
sure.
and they
Yeah.
use the county facility and it was.
They actually budget for what they're gonna do
Exactly.
instead of asking for the
Exactly.
sky.
okay. So we have a motion and a second for $10,000 for them. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
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 I have a question. Do you want to give them more than what they asked for?
Yeah, just to keep our numbers round. That's why I said that.
It's $100.
It's $100.
It's a nice round number.
Yeah,
The other $100 comes from his pocket.
yeah, I'm donating that.
It's unusual, is what I'm
Well,
asking.
yeah, I just
I
thought,
hate to set precedents.
I like round numbers. So far,
That's
so
right.
far, the smallest number increment we've had is $5,000, so I don't want to, I don't want to break that pattern. Okay, so, was anyone opposed to that motion? I think that was unanimous, okay. The next we have is Cash Daughters of Utah Pioneers asking for $7,500. Any thoughts? Is this their only project?
Yeah.
It was,
I
right?
believe it is, yeah.
What number are they?
18.
I move we give them all the money.
Okay. We have a motion from Dick for all the money. Did I hear a second from
Second.
Becky? Okay, any more discussion about that?
I have a little heartburn there, but
Just a second.
I would like to see him open up a little bit.
That number
You just never hear much. Kind of seems to be a clique. I'd like to see him a little more exposed in some place or something. That's just, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're pigeonholed into some little area over here that they have a hard time, people just don't go to.
It is hard, because I have interest in that, and yet I've never managed to make it down there.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta check it out.
And I keep thinking
Yeah.
they need to partner with some
did
more
they get-
high-traffic area somewhere. They really do.
That would be ideal.
But
Did they get the money last year, the 7,500? We allocated it to them.
5,000, wasn't it, last year?
No, the 75.
Um,
75 and 70. The only reason I asked that question, I thought they said in their application that they were gonna be closed last year.
I know they were remodeling the entire building. Northern Title bought the whole building, and they were doing a bunch of remodeling. There was a period of time when they were completely shut down. But I don't know what.
So I'm not quite
what's
sure what they
been-
used the 7,500 for. They
I
were
don't
shut
know.
down.
I don't know how.
They have not claimed all of it. I
Did
do
they
know
did
that.
claim some of it?
I think they've claimed some for utilities and some maintenance.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not that much
It's
money, but I
ongoing.
was just curious as to.
But I'll support the motion. I just would,
Okay,
I think it's got some tremendous merit. I would just like to see a little more exposure.
I guess there's no
I
way
agree,
to.
I agree.
You know, and maybe down the road as maybe a county museum is
Yeah, that's
developed
what I
or
was
something
thinking.
somewhere that they could partner in and
Well, I know
get
that-
more exposure.
I know that North Logan kind of wanted to do a children's. Could
Yeah.
they work it some way with that?
Potentially.
Ask Gina about that.
Put a museum out there, the Heritage Center,
Yeah, that'd be a
tie it in
perfect
and
place
just
for
Well,
it.
that would be a good
a
place.
high exposure.
I like that idea.
What's that?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
Great idea.
it's been brought up and I almost got shot as fast as I did with COVID this morning. So, but
Okay,
anyway,
so we have a motion and a second for 7,500 for Daughters of Utah Pioneers. Any more discussion about that? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you. Next, Cash Children's Choir has a $12,000 request.
We gave them,
Good
we
organization.
gave them 5 and 5 in prior years, and I think they just put the 12,000 in there automatically. So they've been happy with the amount we've given them in the past. I mean, again, it's not talking that much money, but it's just the fact that that seems like what they do. They put in for 12, we give them for 5, they put in for 12, we give them for 5.
Children's.
Surprise them and give them 6.
Now we can give them 6 or
I'm just thinking
7.
it's an excellent organization, and it's our future. We don't have much music in the schools, and here's an opportunity for kids to come together. They get excellent leadership. If they have enough money, then they can get more music. I mean, it is an expensive kind of thing.
Is that a motion, Andy?
It
I
wasn't
second it.
meant to be, but I can make it into a motion.
That's a motion to do what?
Let's give them the money.
To 12,000, okay, there's a motion for 12,000, was that Dick I heard over here, give him a second? Okay, motion and a second for 12,000 for Cash Children's Choir, any more discussion about them?
I'd like to look and see what they're gonna use it for first.
General operating expenses, including staff salaries, expenses. Funding for the Summer Music Institute and the Music and
This is what I was looking at. It serves 120 youth.
ages 3 through 16.
$12,000 for 120 youth.
$100 a piece. See, that's the kind of thing I don't know that I'm comfortable with.
You are comfortable with?
I'm not.
You're not comfortable with? $100 a kid? You're not comfortable with? How many patrons did Utah Opera have? They're 450,000. I bet they're over $100.
Per person, I'm sure they are.
Right.
I feel like that's a good level.
It seems to me that,
I don't quite go that high, I'd go 10, I'll go with 10, but.
Well, we have
yeah, I don't know how much they could expand it or would want to expand it, but I think it's worth it. Because those kids who are involved, and anyone can apply, but those who are accepted to be in this organization get a quality education in music.
So it is capped at 120 on the choir size.
I don't know.
How about if we took the $500 they want for T-shirts out and funded the rest of it?
You don't want to fund the teachers.
Well, I'm just, I like T-shirts, but.
T-shirts, you said
The
T-shirts.
T-shirts, I thought you said teachers.
And,
I
well,
thought,
and this
whoops.
is the dialogue that we have, and this is terrific, this is wonderful dialogue.
Okay, yeah.
And therefore, I would move to amend the main motion and strike out the number 12,000 and insert 10,000.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion, or substitute motion for 10,000 with this second. There's a motion from Dave and a second from Reed. Any further discussion about that motion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call.
And that's why we always use pencil too.
Okay. Okay, I'll call for the vote on that. All in favor of Cash Children's Choir getting $10,000, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That's unanimous, $10,000. Next, Smithfield City Children's Theater. We're gonna do Alibaba and the
I'll make a
fourth
motion to
piece.
fund the full thing.
The full amount,
We've done it in the past, and
3,000.
They allow everybody to be into,
Yeah.
anybody that.
Anybody, yeah, everybody.
Okay, so $3,750.
Second.
We have a motion from Reed and a second from Dick. Any further discussion about that? Yeah, we got a $50 increment there. I'm guessing Excel can handle that. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we're done with page one.
And
Page one of how many?
and I, by the way, I did
Six.
love the details that they had in there, exactly where those, I mean, they almost went to the pennies where things were going different places. And I
what is
thought,
that?
yeah, rather than round numbers.
Okay.
Grab them quick or?
Okay, let's go ahead and take a recess right now. It's 11:40. Let's try to be back here in 7 minutes.
I have to move my car, so
Yeah,
I don't get a ticket.
Okay, 10 minutes.
Are you rounding that up or down?
So 10 minutes, let's grab your food. It's in the room right behind me here.
Oh, lovely.
Grab your food, take a restroom break, stretch your legs, and bring your food back here, and we'll eat it here as we continue on page 2.
And it's got your names on the top, so you know who's.
Hey, thanks. Just noticed this is dead. I hope it was recording somewhere else.
You are kidding me.
Thank you for getting that.
Was it recording somewhere else? I hope.
I checked the battery, I thought it was perfect. No, you're right. The video is still going,
Okay.
so I can get
All right.
audio from that.
Okay, good.
It's not here, but I'll go change that.
I'm taking notes here. I'll give you mine when I'm done. You can double check.
Right.
I didn't write down who made motions or any of that stuff for minutes, but
I think I can see. I forgot my purse,
yeah.
from the video, I can see.
At the beginning, I wasn't necessarily mentioning who made the motion, and then I realized that, so I've been trying to mention who made the motion in a second.
Oh, well,
But maybe you know everybody's voice.
I feel like they're just trying to twist your.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And if you don't,
yeah.
that's why I brought up. Still. Maybe it was the COVID thing. Could have been.
But I read their presentation and it just, yeah, like you, I feel like you're twisting my arm or.
They had $456,000 in cash compared to 241. They have 12.5 million in assets, and they own all those buildings. So said, oh, he says, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna leave my kids for. I guess I'm gonna be, I'm thinking, go sit and try.
Feel sorry for
Yeah,
you.
he basically tried to lie to me
Yeah.
to say how poor I'm gonna be. I just have a bad taste in my mouth, but.
I do too.
Especially when I first got on the committee, Rapz committee, they was really trying to tell how much, look at all the revenue. I mean, look at, not revenue, look at all the people are bringing.
Would you like one of these for lunch? Want one too?
Yeah.
Put it up here for you?
Well, yeah, if you don't mind, I appreciate that, David. Thank you.
You're welcome. Looks like he's ready for a refill.
Yeah.
And the same thing. That's person, but yet how much has their budget increased? So, see, I just think that they're recommending 10%. That was the number you always used to use. This is what's all right with this. Big cities. We can get by with a Buick or a Chevy. We don't need a Cadillac.
That's right.
We still get the same job.
That's
same
right.
People. Frustrating. But it's good. It's good.
It's just water.
Okay, I'll start it again.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, you bet, enjoy.
So remind me of your name?
Bruce Cook.
Bruce Cook?
Cook.
All right. And what is your professional background?
For many years, I have been a tax accountant, a CPA.
Aha.
I appreciate the great big book, Betty. Oh, she's on the phone. I'll tell you what, that's not easy to put together.
No, it's,
For CJC.
You do a good job, though.
The one thing I know I'm gonna need is a napkin.
Been there the whole time I've known you, except for recently. So.
I said working lunch, but we fill our mouths, we're not gonna be doing much.
Maybe that'll make it go faster.
We'll start agreeing with a
Hearing no
lot more things.
opposition, okay, I don't hear anything. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about, the drainage districts. This was my thought, we're gonna have people come in again and say their piece. I was thinking maybe, you and I should have a discussion
yep, this one is.
after we've heard from all of them and, figure out what we want, to recommend.
And I
to the
know some of
council.
them may not be able to get there. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
You need more than that little
Yeah,
one that they put in
good idea.
I know some have already reached out to me, says I can't be there that night, but I know them very well.
Yeah,
And I think we're only, most of them were just about the number of applicants. I think there's only one. Most of them have the number of applicants for the seats that they
napkin.
kind of been filling them anyway.
The little bit they put in.
Illegally?
yeah, so That's what I was thinking, because I know you know probably most of these people and would like to see your input before we make
Oh,
a
no,
recommendation.
isn't that awful?
Love to hear your input.
And even that same night, you'd hear it and we
I think I miss that the most.
did whatever we need to do.
Shaking
But some of them I know
hands and
reached out to me and said they wouldn't be able to be there that night.
Yeah.
But if we have 3 applicants for 3 positions,
Well, I have my shot, so hopefully,
we're happy that even 3 of them stepped up.
Yeah.
So the car is
Down the
not
road, though,
it is
another thing we
placed
need
in
to
the
talk
back.
about. Down the road, though, I think they're in the process of maybe combining them all into one drainage district.
Who do I pay for these?
Better with that big project, that big irrigation project that's going on out there.
That sounds like
Mendon Road, I'm
I
halfway
can see
between
that.
Mendon and Logan.
Some are in favor though, and some still aren't. But,
You know, it's
and then out there on
experience.
Swamps,
southwest
I should have said that, I introduced myself, but I
of
really did
Lewiston,
want to take.
there's
comes out there looking at home and they stop.
a little bridge, you know, that takes you over to Trenton
About the
Cottage
area, I say, well, you should
out there.
Or the,
We have those, they probably reached out to you already. There's those couple acres that we own,
I get my
one
I am-
something acres.
January and enjoy the fog.
County
my
still has it.
directions are
Right on the
really
river, and it's between there,
screwed up.
goes up,
I am,
all the Rocky Mountain Power Ground. But it has river frontage
I
and
have
a
5
road.
kids.
But they were hoping that we would work with them and maybe
Good people out there.
let them have the
That's how I got to know
north
Gina.
portion
Gina and I
of that
both
road
actually got
for a
interested
pump
in
station, bring it up to them. And then we take the south portion and create a boat ramp and a little parking area
represent
that people, canoes and people that can get, get on and off the river right there. Which I'm going, there's another recreation opportunity.
40 years, 40 years.
So anyway, that discussion's already being had.
I haven't heard from them yet, but.
Yeah, Chad, and I'm meeting with them next Wednesday. I'll keep you abreast on that, but they're having I kind of invited myself to it because of
Got to close the gate.
drainage district issues.
you bring, it's
And so, but they're meeting next, and it's 2 years out, well, 1 to 2 years. But I told them, I said, this would be a wonderful little opportunity for apply for some, we could even for the county, apply for some Rapz money to
Yeah.
I've been trying.
help in that little parking area. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, it's kind of sad, but it's right where that young boy that went off the road on his little trike and went into the river and was killed this about a month ago.
That's what they need them,
Bodily boy.
Couldn't find one we could afford.
but interest in the arts
Now I wrote back,
and you can.
raise my kids.
Okay, it's been 10 minutes and everybody's back. Thank you all for being quick and grabbing your food. Let's jump back in to our next item. And I was talking to Dave, he thought maybe we'll speed it up because there won't be any opposition. Your mouths will be full, so. Move through this. We have next here Cache Valley Civic Ballet. And they've asked for $31,000 for performance and education enhancement. Any comments on this?
Let's see,
They do a super job.
They do a great job.
what, number 22?
Number 22, Cache Valley Civic Ballet.
What did we give them last year?
10,000. 13,000 the year before, 10,000 the year before that.
For that, for 31. I probably wouldn't be opposed to giving them 15. Probably was what they had got, but
Well, what was their explanation for why they asked for so much more this time?
I kind of ask that much every year.
They've always asked for,
They always ask for that same amount.
Well,
no, but
several of them do, but
Last year, they asked for 45,000 and we gave them 10. Year before they asked for 40, we gave them 13.
Okay?
so this year they're asking for less money, they've asked for 2 years.
They're asking for less money this year than they've asked for in the past.
well, I think they have less, aren't they doing less productions? they say only a couple?
I didn't go back
I
out.
know they actually
specifically.
did have production last year, in November.
Over 30 students.
Hopefully we won't be on television with our eating. Guess you're the lucky person that gets to listen to that and write the notes.
No. I keep track of the money. Meetings.
Number 13, did you say what number was that again?
10 was last year and 13 is year
Cash
before.
value.
Well, they've actually cut down the request, maybe they've actually trying to cut down their expenses. If that's the case, then I'd be willing to give them a little more than what we have in the past, based on that,
What would your recommendation be?
15.
Okay. We have a motion for 15,000. Is there a second? I'll second that, just so we can keep
I would
talking.
even, actually, I would, yeah, if you second that.
Do you want to give
I
them
was,
more?
I was happy that, to hear that they pushed ahead even last year to have something, that they reached out on some things.
And they, I know they continue
I'm very happy to reward those people that did,
You want to go to 20
to
then?
give some positivity and some positive things to the county.
You want to go to 20 then?
18 to 20 or something like that, I'd be happy to, I'd push it to that.
Okay, I hear a substitute motion for 20,000.
Okay,
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Andy and a second. Was that from Dick? Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on that? Okay.
Probably good.
All in favor, say aye.
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 or,
Any opposed? Okay, I heard some ayes and one ooh.
that's about, right when the vote came, I was worried up.
Next, we have Four Seasons Theater Company, project number 29, asking for $45,000.
In the past, there are 3 theater companies that are very similar in their operations.
Now, last year was,
Considered all 3 of them kind of together. So that's number 29, number 36, and number 41.
Okay, they're all right here in the same section at the top of this page. They all received about the same score. So 29, Four Seasons asked for 45,000.
last year we gave them 25 and 25.
25 and 25 to,
The last 2 years.
To the Four Seasons. And what did we do to the?
Cash Theater, the Logan Community, we gave 21. Music Theater West, we gave 20. So 25, 21, and 20 is what we gave those 3 last year.
so is there a thought that we should give them each the same amount? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but just the,
Very close.
pretty close is what we've done, because they're very similar in these number of, the number of people they serve. Some have like 1 or 2 more productions than another.
They're all asking for the same, about the same amount. Four Seasons is asking for 45, Logan Community Foundation is asking for 48, and Music Theater West is asking for 38. What about Unicorn Theater? You want to take them at the same time? They're
That's different.
They're much smaller.
That's different.
Unicorns in a different ballgame.
That's a children's theater.
The Unicorn?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
it is, yeah.
It's a different caliber. It's a good educational tool.
45 and 45. 36.
So I move that we look at Four Seasons. I've got them at 30. I don't know why, it's quite a bit more, but I got them at 30, and then Logan Community, or the Cash Theater, 32, and Music Theater West, 28. Are we close to the,
That's, I'm
Thinking.
fine with that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Dave to give Four Seasons, will you repeat the numbers
30,
again, please?
30 for Four
30 to
Seasons.
Four Seasons,
32 for Cash Theater,
32 to Cash Theater Company, Logan
And-
Community Foundation,
and I went with 28 on Music Theater
28
West.
to Music Theater West.
Say that again.
30 for Four Seasons,
Okay,
32 for Cash Theater, Logan Community.
that's number 36.
Uh-huh,
That's 32.
and then I have Music Theater West, number 41 at 28. So,
Okay, Sorry, I didn't write those down. I said them, but it was
Number 29, that's 30,000.
30,000 for 29,
36, Logan Community Foundation, I have them at 32.
32, and then 28 for Music Theater West.
Yes.
Okay. So that was the motion from Dave, and was there a second on that?
Well, aye.
Okay, Reed seconds that. Any further discussion about those proposals?
Are you just taking a percentage of the amount that they've asked, basically?
Just a number of production, one had a couple more productions than another. And the number of kids and the number of people that were participating, where we were, it just kind of went up. But I'm willing to, if you got something, change in there, please bet it.
Any other thoughts?
Just a question. In these three theaters, if we gave them more, what would they use the money for? Do you think that they would just put it in an account and save it for next year? Or do you think they would do something and expand on what they're doing? Or do you think they just would not go out and raise as much money? Or,
I think you can say that about a lot of the
That's-
programs here.
that's-
That's why you don't want to just give them what they request.
Right. Well, I think if, in theater especially, it's so expensive for, if you consider costumes, consider backdrops, scenery, etc. It can improve the quality of a production tremendously if you have the money to have good backdrop, for example. And so I don't think they'll waste it. Hopefully they would use it to enhance what they're doing.
do we have costume makers in our valley and that sort of thing? Or are they just renting more expensive costumes? How does that work in that field, do you know?
I think there are a lot of busy moms.
Little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? To me, that is terrific.
It's a
That
good
kind of involvement, I think, is what the arts are really all about in a lot of ways. And I hate to take that away from the arts. Give them so much money that they don't, they don't bring those families together like that, I think.
Okay, we have a proposal on all three of these before us. Are there any alternate proposals?
If you want to add more, say something. Do you think there should be more?
I wish I knew. I'm too green. I really don't know.
One of the
All pretty good increase.
things that I was a little bit concerned about with the cash, or the Four Seasons. If you look at their detailed budget, one of the expenses is company credit card, $20,000.
Company credit card. I missed that. What page, which one, page you looking at?
Four Seasons, which
Is
is
that what
number
they use to
29.
buy costumes? Is that what they use to buy
No,
lumber for the
props,
props?
operations, costumes are all in a different category. There is a category that says company credit card, 20 grand.
A lot of Costa Vitas.
Scary.
Okay.
Total income, 115,000, from ticket sales, 70, other types of incomes. Reps, they budgeted 25, but their request was 45.
Their rentals, their facility rental was quite a bit lower though. Every year.
Theater rent, 7 grand. But in their budget, for the 2021 budget projection, they budgeted $25,000 from Rapz for their budget, and they've asked for 45.
Good catch there.
And
That's a good kid, I didn't,
at the top of the second page, it says company credit card, 20 grand.
Yeah, right there. Yeah,
Backdrops they've listed, their advertising, their labor.
Is that a balance they have from previous years?
Have no idea. But they're budgeting for a $10,000 surplus with 25,000 from Rapz, but they've requested 45. But if you wanna give them more, that's okay.
Our proposal is for 30 right now.
Yeah,
So
proposal is,
that
But they've
20,000
included 25 as their,
So do we want to lower it to
in their
25?
budget.
Hey, the thing is, when you're in that kind of thinking, that credit card,
Could be anything.
that's basically sundry items. That's just like things that come up, which should have a home in a budget somewhere.
Exactly.
Right.
yeah.
Because they have
I
operations,
didn't
they
see
have
that.
office supplies, costumes, insurance,
So you have him on here.
backdrops, theater rent, travel and meetings.
That's their slush fund.
Yeah, but they're budgeting for a 10,000 surplus plus 20, that's $30,000
Let me ask for 45.
surplus out of a $115,000 budget. I mean,
That's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. I'll go with 25.
You bet.
Yep, I think that's enough.
Okay, so I'm gonna recognize that as an amendment to this motion. Was that from Dick? Or Reed? Reed made that?
Reed,
And then who seconded this amendment to the motion? Was there a second? Dick? Okay. So that was for 4 seasons, amending Dave's motion from 30 down to 25 for that one. So now we have 25 for 4 seasons. The motion now, well, let's vote on that amendment. Or is there any more discussion about that amendment? All in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to that amendment? Okay, so that amends the motion on the floor. The motion on the floor then is for 25,000 for 4 seasons, 32,000 for Logan Community Foundation Cash Theater Company, and 28,000 for Music Theater West. Did I get that correctly? Was that the correct amendment? We amended 4 seasons down to 25?
Yes.
Bruce, was that right? The one that I changed? The one, I changed 4 seasons
Yes.
down to a lower amount? Okay. Okay, any more discussion about that?
Thanks, good.
Okay, all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sounds like that's unanimous. Next, we have Cash Community Band. And that is a $10,000 request. Tuba, equipment trailer, and operating expenses, $10,000.
And we've given them
Go for it.
2,000 in the years past and 3.5 in 2019.
But a tube isn't a big expense.
And
Yeah, let 'em
and
buy it.
trailer,
To the cost, does anybody know?
I have no clue.
thousands, I'm guessing,
Based on the size, it's quite a bit.
for us.
I really have no idea.
And an equipment trailer, so,
I move that we give them the 10,000 this year and see how they respond with all that money to buy a new trailer. The trailer's pretty expensive, the equipment trailer is.
yeah.
They are pretty frugal. They have been over the past, and they're,
The trailer would be helpful, I would think.
and it is a few people,
They're a
but yet
traveling band.
they're very visible almost at every
The parades.
parade.
yeah.
And it's kind of like people expect to see them too, in every parade, so.
Okay, was that Dick who made a motion for 10?
Yep.
Okay, was there a second to that? Okay, Andy seconds that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're on Unicorn Theater now. We have so many theaters, we're so blessed to have so many theater companies here in the valley.
In the past, we've given them 5 and 5 the last 2 years.
Okay, what did they say was their justification for this 15?
We're saying approximately 400 students ages 5 to 18 participate in classes, fall, winter, and spring and summer.
I can't remember their ambitions to.
How many students did you say, 500?
It says approximately 400 students.
400.
And one end, down below it says approximately 2,250 children or adults ages 1 through 100.
That's the audience,
That's the audience,
citizens.
yeah.
Guest artists, approximately 100 students.
So if we give them the same $100 per kid, like we did another one, that would give them $40,000. They're asking for 15.
I don't think this is the same caliber, and you're dealing with children of much younger ages in
This is
many cases.
This is a children's theater.
Yeah. But you're educating kids for the future, so.
Yeah, I'm so thankful we have these programs for our kids in our community, because if we didn't, what else would they be doing?
Right.
But I think having youth programs is,
I would suggest
I'd agree.
7,000. Increase a
7,000.
little bit for what we've done before, and
okay?
How much?
7,000. We have a motion for 7,000 from Andy. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, I think that was from Dick. Okay, any discussion about 7,000 for unicorn? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, number 34, Friends of the Menden Cottage Library. They want $50,000 for shelving, collection development, and programming needs. Has anyone been to the Menden Cottage Library before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah? I didn't even know it existed before seeing this
It's,
application.
you know, it's just one of those little community things out there in Mendon that, in all honesty, gets used by the Mendon people, and nobody else is gonna show up. Nobody else is gonna drive to Mendon to go to the library. But I tell you, the city of Mendon is, they are community oriented, and they think they own the school out there instead of Cache County, which is a good thing.
And that's fine.
That's a good thing. But, I'm not sure that they need 50,000. I'd recommend that maybe if we gave them 35 or 40,000 in that neighborhood, they'd be happier.
What did we give them before? 'Cause I think that's even more than,
Getting that
I
five,
have to look over the years.
I was gonna say, we did not
quite a bit less,
substantially less than that.
Yeah.
quite a bit
But I
less.
can't see my sheet on it.
Menden City. See, in 2018, the library, they did 0, or 2018, they didn't do, the year before, the Menden Library got 25,000 in 2016.
Isn't there something on another page though?
Some special project somewhere.
They have a trail out there.
No, there's on page 14, Friends of the Menden Cottage Library is listed separately from the Menden Library. And they got 6,400 last year.
What number are they?
Pardon?
What number are they? The second one?
34.
Well, 34 is the one we're looking at right now. Are you saying there's a Menden Library request?
Oh, on
this
the
time?
history,
Talking about the
page
history.
14. On the history, page 14, the Friends of Menden Cottage Library is listed in the history separately.
That's still in the Rapz section?
No, in the big, thick,
No,
oh, no, it's back in restaurant.
The initial one that was sent out.
Well, we're not talking about two different entities, are we? I mean,
Well,
They just have the library.
historically, they're listed as two, but no, we're not
Yeah,
talking
I mean,
about.
I've been out there, and I think they just have the one library.
Yeah, it's been requested through Menden City, and then it's also been, funds have been requested through the Friends of the Menden.
but it's still number 34 though, right?
So, but I guess I'm looking at it, they wanted some shelves, collection development, and program needs. So they want to have like, activities and book reading and things like that.
We never gave them anything last year,
And
right?
for that steep,
That's my point,
And we
is that
gave-
on this history, the big, thick history that goes for the last 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
there is on page 14, it's listed separately from Menden City, which is on a different page.
Because there are two separate organizations. One is the city requesting on behalf of their building, and the other one is a nonprofit organization, the Friends, who are a nonprofit that was set up to support the city's library.
And that's the one that we didn't give anything last year and 96 the year before.
In 2019, we gave the Friends of the Mendon Cottage Library $6,400. They requested $25,000. In 2018, Mendon Library Cultural Arts Committee requested $50,000, and we didn't give them anything.
And we didn't
In
give them anything last
2016,
year, right?
Mendon Library, we gave the Mendon Library Cultural Arts Committee, they requested 100, and we gave them 25. So everything they've requested has been library, and we gave them 25,000 in 16 and 6,400 in 19.
So is there a recommendation from the committee for this year with their $50,000 request, based on that history?
Okay, now I'm a little confused. Number 34 is strictly the Friends, it's not Mendon City, it's just.
Correct.
I think we're talking about the same entity though.
It's the
They
same,
just call it something
it's the
different.
same cause. It's two different groups though, the city and their nonprofit arm that supports and raises money.
Whatever money we give them is gonna go to the library.
Yeah.
Whether it's funded through the city.
Whether it went to the city in the past or the
Yep.
nonprofit in the past, it's the nonprofit that's asking for it now.
Somebody give us a number you think they ought to have for the library.
Is there on this sheet here, that we're going down, is there another one later on that talks about Mendon City?
There's none more.
I would probably,
This is the only one that.
I would lean for more into that 17 to 18,000, even that's kind of
That's kind of high.
a high,
Okay,
a good push.
consider this. Their cash in bank for the Mendon Library at the beginning of July 2020 was 25,000. Net cash out was 13,000. And they had 12,000 at the end of January 2021.
Of course, that's the Friends budget.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
No, that's the budget for Mendon Library.
oh, that's the library budget you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little confusing where they've got, they mix both of them up.
My concern is, what are we really purchasing?
Purchasing, yeah.
What is it? I mean, there's some bookcases.
And it
And
only
there's
talks
some
about 2 or
programs.
3 at $450 a piece.
I mean, if they were putting something into the library that would make the value.
And then there's a lot of,
valuable.
then there's a lot of little events.
There's-
And speakers, it says right here, and,
But that's a one-time thing.
yeah.
And collection development that means books and things like
Because
that.
I would like to do the books and all that sort of thing.
On their budget, they budgeted $600 for audiobooks, $8,000 for books, capital expenditures for $1,500, and then other operating expenses. Their total budget for this year that we're in the middle of, that will end in June, is $27,000. And they spent, as of the end of January, 13 of the 26. They plan to spend another 13,000 between the end of January to the beginning of the year, or to the beginning of July. And they're requesting 50.
Can we give them $12,000 and feel good about it?
Well, that's
Is
what
that
I'm
too
thinking.
much?
Their budget project was $75,000. Their total operating budget for last year was 26,000.
And it doesn't have the prices of what they're doing doesn't add up even in physical assets as to what they're trying to permanently have there, you know?
I mean, I would feel better about
Yeah.
giving them more if they actually had. a
And the other
plan.
thing is I wish I could see more things where they were reaching out. So this is how we're gonna tie it into to every county resident too, or something.
They still got
You know.
$13,000 in cash as of January 31st.
They're budgeting $2,000 for summer reading.
Here, there is a narrative. At the end, it says, "The Friends of the Library has launched the second half of its Brick Builder fundraiser. It will complete the patio area with bricks inscribed with the names, so far has raised approximately $11,000. In order to be eligible for the already received donor match of 25, we need 14. I recommend that we give them $14,000.
Second.
So they said they need 14 for what?
The brick and mortar is, this is,
Finish the patio area outside the library. It's,
So they need 14 to finish that patio area.
right, and it looks like they have the money to, would finish out their operating budget to the 1st of June. They already have that in their bank.
So do they have in their operating budget all of the other things they said, like the books, the audiobooks?
Yes,
The
8,000
shelves?
for books, 1,500 for capital expenditures. Of the 8,000 annual budget for books, they'd spent 4,200 as of the end of January. They had 3,700 remaining to spend.
And on their revenue, what are they showing as their sources of revenue to pay for all that?
They are not showing any revenue. They're just looking at what they have their cash in the bank. And they have 12,600 cash in the bank as of the end of January. And their budget called for 13,600 remaining to spend, with no indication as to where any additional funds would come from.
Okay, so is there a motion for an amount on this one?
yeah, 14,000.
14,000.
Second.
14,000.
And that would give them what they need to finish their capital brick and mortar
There
project.
was a second from Dick. Okay.
Okay, so with a, with a nonprofit, they're not supposed to be doing capital improvements. But, and this would be for a structure, not just equipment to maintain. Just want you to take that into account.
Well,
We had that discussion. I think it was structure.
This
based.
is a nonprofit, but it's a nonprofit that's, I'm sure, owned and operated by the city.
I think that's correct. The facility, I think, belongs to the
Yeah,
city.
it is, yeah.
So you'd be
it's a
all right
city.
then?
Yeah, so it should be okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second for 14,000. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sounds unanimous. Next is Lyric Repertory Company. Lots of theater today. We have Lyric Repertory
Only on
Company.
paper, okay.
$50,000 request for their 2021-22 season.
We've done 0 last year and 10 the year before.
They canceled their.
They didn't have a
They
season
canceled it
last
this year, too.
Yeah.
They canceled it this year.
Well, didn't I read that? Am I wrong?
But what?
Did they cancel this year?
They got funds
They
requested
did.
this year.
We had to shutter our doors for the entire 2020 season, is what they said.
Right. How about
But for this year, I think that they were gonna do a limited, because they couldn't arrange to get all of their actors and everything.
Their plan for this one is to relaunch their theater with a holiday production of A Christmas Carol,
That's right, they had-
followed by a full slate of productions for summer 2022. That's what they want to use this
Yeah.
for, is to get
Right.
those running.
and
They're asking for $50,000.
And have you noticed there's a whole bunch of them that are all doing a Christmas one? And it seems to be the same Christmas.
Is everyone doing A Christmas Carol?
Well, I just noticed a lot of them, in reading a bunch of them, they weren't doing much for the summer.
That's
and
probably the
stuff.
one there are most versions of.
I think.
Let's see how many we
And
can
they're
watch.
hoping COVID's to bed by then.
Yeah. COVID past, COVID present.
The ghost of COVID past.
There you go.
Gotta write that one.
Yeah.
I had them at 5,000 to keep them viable, but
We've given them 10 or 15 in the past each year.
I know, but
You know, the
that's
last
when they were
three-
doing more
last 3 years,
productions.
we Given any last year and 10 the year before.
We didn't give many last year, but we did the
10
year
the year
before.
before, right?
10 the year before.
I just wish that they were doing something this summer.
If we give them 10, can they do their Christmas? Or can they do it without our 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with their budget, because they give us their whole budget. And it's all $450,000,
Includes what they do up on the stage
Yeah.
at the university.
So if you
everything.
did 10,000 this time, Wouldn't they be able to reapply for the other show when the next rap?
Yeah, for next summer, yeah, because they're saying it's for 2022.
I think we even gave them the 10 when they were still in full production though.
We
That
did.
was in 2019.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
And that's why I think
Here.
I backed it to 5. That's where, if they're only gonna do one production, just keep them going. I backed it to 5 myself and in hopes that next year they'll, you know, say, yes, we are doing this, this and this, and here we go, and okay, we're here to support you then.
Okay, so do I hear a motion out there? I've heard 5, 10, 15, I've heard a few different numbers.
I need
It'll be 9 to 5, and if I'm not gonna be 15 to 15.
How about 75? Can we,
Looks like you've done that before.
I have done it before.
do we want to round it to $7,500? Is everybody okay with
Like
that?
that.
Is that a motion,
I
Dick?
move that we give
Okay,
I'll second it.
$7,500.
okay, we have a motion from Dick and a second from Dave for $7,500. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, let's try to
Any
keep
opposed?
Let's try to keep our amounts in even thousands. That way I don't have to write 7,000.
I was thinking he put 50 to make up for that extra 50.
Dave was auctioneer, and that's why we got 500.
We got 3,750 on one of them, so we got a $50 one hanging up. Okay, next we have Jump the Moon Foundation for continued and expanding art and services funding. They asked for $20,000.
I don't know if you're familiar with Jump the Moon.
No.
That was one of the
I'm
ineligible
not.
ones.
Every year that we've all, you know, it's gone back and forth, we've wondered, and that's why I was curious why it initially did not be eligible, and now it is.
Last year, they applied and we found them ineligible. After we had a discussion this year, they are serving anyone who wants to. I think that their main focus is children with handicap or adults with handicaps. But after a discussion with David and the attorneys, they felt like they should be eligible because they are open to everyone. And it is in arts and teaching and kind of preserving and maintaining art.
The budget, 82,000, salaries is 78,000 of the $82,000 budget.
Salaries are what?
What's that?
78
78,000,
for salaries of their $80,000 budget.
82,000, 82.5, 82.2.
So they have one person that they're paying that much money to, and that's all their budget?
But you know, when you work with handicapped people or children, I know in the schools, you can really demand a high level of income if you are handicapped, a teacher. I mean, there is such a need for it. So I don't know that we can discount that amount. I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other, but I know that it does take extra training and extra things to do that sort of thing.
This is a problem that I have with some of these requests, is that they appear to be a hobby or the special interest of one person, and they're looking to fund something to provide themselves an income rather than the primary objective being to provide a service to the community.
In this particular case, I'd like to object to that. I happen to know Michael Bingham, who is behind all of this, and he has been a teacher of the arts. Became very much interested in handicapped kids when he was teaching in high school level, and decided he wanted to start this Jump the Moon to have an area where he could focus on people with disabilities. And he gets a good number of people who come in and just are joyous that they can do something. He did something with a gal in a wheelchair who couldn't use her hands, and she was terribly handicapped. He applied some paint to the wheelchair, put a huge canvas on the floor, and she went around with that wheelchair, and you should see the smile on her face. I mean, really. So that's just one example, but he's extremely creative, and he sees this almost as a mission.
Appreciate your input.
Is that a motion, Andy?
I'd like to give him all that he can get,
So 20,000?
yes.
Is that your motion? Is there a second on that? I'll second it. Further discussion on the motion?
Motion's for the 20, the full amount?
20,000. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one passes 20,000. Okay, next, Whispering Canyons Foundation.
That was
is
Ineligible. Yeah. Have to go with that one.
All right, 2 pages down. 3.5 to go.
We have all the cultural done.
All the cultural are done.
And they're the toughest.
Except for
Because
just one. We have
because
one
this
left.
next one
There's one on the
was-
page.
Well, they're also.
Next one's ineligible also, the
Yeah.
US Youth, so we're skipping that. So now we're at recreation facilities. River Heights, 40,000. New River Heights City Park East, $40,000.
What is that, what's that under?
Both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, next year when we do this, let's have them all in order and we'll go through the list in the same order so we're not jumping all around.
I'd have to reorder all your books if you do it by scores.
Yeah, so
I'll
just,
just come around to all
just
your
give us a list
poems.
next time with the scores where they're all in the same order as the book still. So that way we're not jumping around.
You're gonna have to like give me your scores before you see the application.
Before we see the book. That's right.
No problem. I can do it.
So $40,000, River Heights Park.
And have we done much, has River Heights really requested very much?
Yeah, they have.
We did tennis courts.
Yeah.
We did 40,000 last year. No, a year ago, 2 years. 40 and 35 for tennis courts. They didn't request anything last year.
Okay, they're gonna do walking paths, service lane, green space, 2 parking lots, on east and west, 2-room restroom. So,
I think this services a lot of people.
Yeah,
And it's, and this is part of a big project, that, what, $850,000 project, right?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And
Yeah.
I, personally, I'd give them the whole 40.
760,
So-
760 is the total, and they're only asking for 40 out of 760. That's a pretty healthy match.
right.
Yep.
I think
So-
that's terrific myself.
Is that a motion, Dave, for the
Yes,
full
that
amount?
is, that is for the full amount.
Okay, motion for the full amount.
40,000.
Yep, I'll second
A
that.
second from Dick.
Yep.
Any more discussion?
What number was that?
Number 47.
7?
Down on both, yeah,
You're coming up now on Logan City.
yeah.
Oh, well, let's vote on this.
Oh, sorry.
So all in favor of the 40,000 for River Heights, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, everybody's on board with that. Okay, Bruce?
On Cache County and Logan City, what we've generally done is we have decided how much we wanted to allocate to them and then let them order their own projects.
In which they already, both organizations
They have
usually
ranked
already
them.
have them
They
all
have ranked them.
in.
And we decide how
in
much we
priority.
recommend to give them, and then we just give it down instead of looking at each project individually.
And didn't Logan City, this is the only one that they had, right? Logan City only has number 26.
No, they have
No, you have more.
number 32 on the next page. Is that all they had though? Was those two?
32, 33,
Oh yeah, 33 also.
26, 32, and 33.
So 26 is 197,000, 32 is 160,000, and 33 is 115,000. So 197,000 for Logan City Center Block Plaza, Splash Pad, and Ice Rink. So
And-
200,000.
That one caught my eye. And I thought, that is it's about time they have some event that you can come down to the
Exactly.
Centrum to do, you know, that little ice skating type thing or whatever it is. I thought I think that'll serve the entire county.
Last year, we gave Logan Parks and Recreation $414,500.
How much are they asking for this year with all of those?
Less than that, or about that. Oh, no, it's more, I guess. 200, 360, 775 about.
I think you have to consider number 31 as well. Just not sure where they show up.
What was 31?
300,000.
That's Blacksmith for.
Oh, no, 33. Oh, where's 31? Is it Blacksmith Fork? Then I've got it.
31 is Hiram City.
Hiram City. I have it out of order, sorry.
Okay, so we've got
Just those three?
200,000,
75, 375,
475,
470,
about 475,000.
We gave them 414 last
415. The year before, we gave them 465.
So this is about.
And we got about $60-something thousand back from the scaled down match money with the Kunzler property,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
you know, that we
Yeah.
got back.
So you guys want to fully
And
fund all
so-
three of these?
Pardon?
You want to fully fund all three of these?
To be honest, I'm in favor of it.
We've got the money, and I think they're all good projects.
Okay,
They
is that a
are.
motion and a second?
I will make that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion from Dave and a second from Bruce to fully fund all three of these Logan City projects.
Especially with the return dollars that we got,
Yeah,
you know, that
they gave us some money back.
And I was tickled to death that they actually came to us and says, hey, you know, rather than, and this was, I thought was really neat of them, is that they came in and said, you know, well, we'd like to take the rest of that money and put it somewhere else. They didn't say that. They says, we're not gonna need this money, so put it back in, and so I'm saying, hey, let's
Yeah.
give it back to them.
Okay, it sounds like, the proposal,
All three of the
all three of the Logan City projects, so that would be 197 for project 26, 115 for project 33, and 160 for project 32. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's move on to Cache County. You want to propose the same thing for that, Dave? Same thing we did for Logan?
And you know, the only question on the Cache County ones was the pond.
Yeah, I had the same question. Pond fill.
What's the question on the pond?
Just, you know, and Bart's explained that in a lot of detail, just in filling the pond in and, you know, and increasing the parking down there and making it, gosh, you know, I just sat there and I saw that big number and I'm going,
So,
I was just worried a little bit about that.
For how much it costs to fill in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't Cache County have those resources available within the county to where they, I mean, I'm just thinking, I see the road crew, I see all of the, and I hope that they're working together as different groups.
And just like anything else, when you take from one, and it's gotta come from somewhere else.
So they're all managed as a separate entity.
In a lot of ways, they're all out of different budgets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the road is
That is a
funded from
possibility.
municipal
Yeah.
sources.
Possible.
They would probably use the county resources to even do that, a lot of it anyway, if they're not busy, but a lot of them, they're
Well, that was
swamped right
my
now.
question is, could they fill that pond up without us funding it?
They will one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What if we did this? What if we give them the money with the direction that you give to the county council and the county executive, that we see if we can do it with our own resources, and if so, we'll give the money back.
That was the only one I had a little bit of heartburn,
Yeah,
and I think it can be worked through. It's just the only one, I just thought $100,000,
to fill,
that could
yeah.
be, I don't know, it just,
Well, he's, I know there's part of it that, he's not completely filling it in. He needs to
Right.
keep, he's actually just shrinking the pond. So I think there might be some repiping, well, I know there is some repiping involved.
electrical.
Repiping, electrical, things like that, because what they do is they bring water into the pond and then they pump out of it to irrigate there. So, but he just doesn't need it this big, and he wants to shrink it so that we can add parking on top of that.
I think it's a great idea, but I just look at all of the resource the county has already, to haul some fill in, and, I mean, they've got employees, they've got the trucks, that just
got the equipment to load it and everything else and smooth it out.
Maybe they could more efficiently use
Yeah.
resources from one project to come in and do that.
And I wondered
I was
if,
gonna say too, sometimes it costs the government more to do stuff than private people to do it.
That's a valid point.
take that off the minutes.
No, that's reality.
No, that's true.
I would move that we fund all of that with the recommendation that the county see if they can't possibly
Okay, I will take that.
coordinate their efforts and use the resources that they have to fill that pond.
I'll second that.
Okay, so
Are we talking all of their
we're talking all of the
projects,
county
or-
ones in one swoop, which ones? 8,
We've got a bunch of them.
7,
The Cache County Fairgrounds and Event Center totals
Yeah, all of the Cache County-
183,000. Last year we had.
So number 10?
So.
8 and 7, so we're talking about all of the fairgrounds and event center ones, so 8, 7, 9,
10 and 11.
11, and then 10 on the next page. Okay, so we have a motion to fully fund numbers 8, 7, 9, 10, and 11 for Cache County. We have a motion and a second. Who was the motion? That was Dick, and the second was Dave.
9, 11, and on what's on the back page,
11's
15,
bottom of
17.
page 3.
Was 15?
I think we should when we've got the funds.
Or are there more?
Wait. We're just talking about the Cache County
we're-
Fairgrounds Event Center, right?
Yeah, all we're talking about right now
7,
is,
8, 9, 10, and 11.
yeah, we're just talking about the fairgrounds ones.
Okay.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
Okay, so just those, to fully fund those with the direction to see if the Public Works Department can save them some money and they don't have to use that, in which case they'd give it back. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have,
There's a pile of gravel out there by Nibley, right out there by the roads.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, I know the
could use
county
to
has
fill it.
piles of dirt too, so.
Hiram City, Blacksmith Fork East, number 31.
Yeah, number
I
31.
like that one. I remember I read through that one and I got that one. Is that the 31, was it? Yeah. That was a good one. I scored that one even higher than the opera.
Really?
Well, I'm sorry, I like concrete things that it goes in there and it will serve
be
a
there
lot of
forever.
people for a long time.
Yeah.
I like those things that, I don't know, it's just, but I had them at, I think they're requesting 300,
And their budget is
1.8 million.
over $1 million, yeah.
And they're not part of the Nibley, North Logan, Hyde Park Syndicate.
Correct, correct.
And so
The
they're,
last couple
and they're
of years-
growing like crazy.
Last couple of years, we've given them 100 and 125, but they are, for that area, they're looking at doing it, is east of Mountain Crest.
Right.
And every time you drive down there, it looks like new homes are being built, or new condos, or new apartments. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we want to give them the 300, but I think we ought to give them most of it anyway.
I was thinking almost 200 myself, but because that, 1.8 million that they're putting into this thing, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good investment.
Yeah,
I'd go with 200.
they're putting 1.6 million into it. That would get them up, or 1.5 million, that would get them up to 1.7 million. So that would leave them 100,000 short on their project.
Is there a reason we don't do this full amount?
Yeah.
What is your logic? for
Yeah,
not giving them
why
the
not
full
just give them
amount?
the full amount?
Let them stretch their budget.
Well, here's a reason, they
I
have,
know it's kind of Hiram City, and whether it's Hiram City or any other, it seems like if you make them push a little bit, relative to trying to be a little bit more efficient and so forth, I think it would help them and still make it a very productive project.
they have BMX bike park on here, 160,000. I just heard they got I think a $400,000 grant from JBS
Or that.
for a bike park, a BMX bike park. I'm assuming it's the same one, but I don't know. It could be different. If that's the
I don't
case,
know where that would be.
you know.
They got the skateboard park in for 300,000,
Then I had to say
375,000.
we only give them 25,000. No.
Okay,
No,
so who made a motion for 200,000?
They did.
I did.
Dave made,
I'll make that for
Dave made a
200,000.
motion for 200,000. Does anyone want to second that? Well, is it Reed? Okay. We have a motion and a second, $200,000. Any more discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Richmond City, 47,000, White Pine Park Playground.
They've been working on that one for a while. Trying to get some things, and I think they changed. 26. And to me, that's one of those outlying cities that they've done they haven't had some deep requests over time. And I had them fully funded at 47.
Is that a motion?
I will make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Did I hear a second over there from Dick? Okay, a motion for 47,000 and a second. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, we have Cache County Development Services Regional Trail Coordinator position.
This is one that has 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 for a total of $141,000.
Yeah, these are,
What numbers did you say?
13, 14, 15, 16, and 17.
It was mostly all trails.
Trail
so there's
assessment.
13 is for the trail coordinator position. Then we got 15 is for a Hyde Park Canyon Loop Trail. 17 is for North Logan Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And we have 16, 1400 North Middle Canal Crossing, another trail. Number 14 is Birch Canyon Survey and Recreation Assessment. And then we have, was that all of them?
And the only thing that bothers me on these, I think it's great that you're investing in the trails. There's too blasted much money in the studying of the studies of the studies.
That's the one I
And
wrote
it just,
down too.
I just sit there and go, you know, and maybe it's mandatory, but I'm just sitting there going, there's so much money that we're
But you look at it, and you,
putting in, it's a great
but as you
concept.
look at it, you see that they're having to do with the federal government. All the cities
I
have
know.
all, but they've all signed on to it.
Yeah, there's traffic studies, like, they've got to hire engineers for things.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do, so you
Yeah.
can match it with some sort of federal grant or something
Yeah.
that they've got coming in.
Yeah.
But it just bothers me that we,
Yeah.
you know, to me, should be easier.
I wish it was easier, because I know, like, you're dealing with homeowners, you're dealing with private land, federal land, state land, city land, and all those sort of things, and it's,
I agree.
because I really would like to, that's, of all the things, I really like to see the trails.
I'm curious how you all feel, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Curious how you feel about the applications. These are all coming from the county trail coordinator's office, but you've got a trail in Hyde Park, you got one in North Logan, you got one in Logan, you got one in Smithfield. Do you guys all feel okay about that the county's doing that grant, or do we want to give direction to them to tell those cities to apply for that in the future?
Well,
I think the county would be a better fit for that.
and aren't they, a lot of those are still in county,
It may be an unincorporated area
isn't a
around
lot of the
those.
Bonneville Shore, isn't that
Yeah,
unincorporated?
that's
A
what I
lot
was
of that?
thinking, the canyon ones,
And then we're,
they might be.
two cities are crossing over, I
Yeah,
think that's why they brought the
it's really
county.
important to have the county on board. I think it's good to
Coordination.
get the city, and that's the one thing I've noticed that has changed, is now I see the cities putting their letters in, saying, we're on board with this. And so I really appreciate that, because I've been concerned about one of the projects that North Logan wasn't on it, and I notice now that they're supporting it.
Which one's
And so
that?
It was is it the middle?
Logan Northern Canal?
Middle, I think, it's either the northern,
That's the one that bothers
For the
me.
Bonneville?
No, it wasn't the Bonneville one, it was,
It's
it was the middle,
the middle canal.
the middle
Logan,
canal,
the
over
old
canal.
Logan Northern.
1400 North Middle Canal Crossing.
Yeah, I think that's the one that the city's on, and I've been looking for that, because I know that some of the homeowners have concerns and things, and so the fact that the city was on that, it meant a lot to me that, hey, that project's
We got
getting
on board.
closer.
So is it 4 projects we're talking about right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Where's the 5th one? Oh, yeah,
Project, excuse me,
5, there's one more.
position and 4 projects.
Birch Canyon, yeah, Birch Canyon, I was missing, okay. Okay, so we have the trail coordinator position, number 13. We've got the,
We fund that one.
And by the way, that to me has been a proven asset.
oh yeah,
As far as the investment in
That makes
what
a
they've done, I think that, boy, that,
that's one of the best things the county's
They've
done,
got a
taking the
couple grants.
to be,
leadership role.
to have someone that everyone's talking to and keeping
It really
keeping
helps.
it active on
yeah.
these, I think that's been to me a good asset there.
So that one.
Great investment.
Fund full
That one,
35.
you need to full fund that one at least. Anyway, sorry.
Great, okay, so we have that one that Dave just mentioned, number 13 for 35,000. We've got number 15, the Hyde Park Canyon for 7,000. Number 17, the North Logan Shoreline Trail for 6,000. And then we've got the Middle Canal Crossing for 53,000 and the Birch Canyon
Which ones-
Survey.
What numbers are those?
Oh, sorry, number 16 is the Middle Canal for 53,000. Number 14 is the Birch Canyon Survey and Rec Assessment for 40,000. There was number 17, that was the North Logan Bonneville Shoreline Trail for 6,000. Number 15 is the Hyde Park.
And in the past, we've given them money for the canals, and they've done the canals as they've been able to get the permits and everything to do.
One second
And
at a time.
everybody's on board, and so
Yeah.
we've kind of given them the money to do what they needed to do. And we've been waiting in the northern part to get some of those trails, because a lot of the trails have been in the southern part, and so I'm glad to see that it's finally getting to the north.
But it stops at Smithfield though, doesn't it?
I think so.
Or this north one here, yeah.
Because I don't want them coming through my place.
Well, this I've seen this one.
You want some of that money, you gotta give up.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we know.
There's gonna be a condition, you get the money if it keeps going north.
No, I understand.
As far as I look at it,
But
it shows.
There is one thing we need to really be thinking a way forward, is there's phenomenal places for trails that we're not even
Yeah, we haven't
looking
even
at.
touched that. We
We're
should
taking them for granted right now,
Yeah.
and in reality, boy,
Yeah.
right now is the opportunity to go secure
I
some
mean,
of
I guess,
those.
is there some way of talking to the trails people and having them,
Because
getting more funding to
Because
towards them?
as a farmer, I'm really tired of those bicyclists that are trying to get around me with the manure spreader. I got a manure spreader out on the highway, and they're, trying to get around me, and they're mad at me because I'm going down the road.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, but there's a lot of places out there, we need to just look forward. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, so do we have a motion on these county trail 5 projects?
Motion. This is funding.
Okay, so we have a motion from Reed to fully fund these 5 county trail projects. Is there a second?
Good idea.
Did I hear a second from Andy? Okay.
I move to
second from
amend
Andy.
the main motion.
Okay, we have a motion to amend.
Otherwise, I'm saying with encouragement to look other places to broaden their view
Okay,
within the
with
county.
encouragement that they look beyond the traditional trail locations to
Well,
other.
I know it satisfies 75% of the people up through here, but I think a lot of these 75% of people would like to actually do a country ride someday or something.
Yeah.
A what?
A country ride, they would like to actually go further than their 3-block run or whatever they're doing,
On the road though.
so,
Okay,
I
so
do think that,
Not very
I
safe.
agree.
which is not very
So-
safe.
They're doing
you
a
know.
study from.
I think you'll accept that as a friendly amendment with the encouragement
Yep.
to continue the Bonneville Shoreline Trail north, is that what it was? No, not exactly
I
that.
didn't, to look other places.
To look other places, okay. So we have a motion and a second on this one to fully fund all of these county trail projects. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So So those are all done.
Those trails go past that new temple there in Smithfield.
Next, we're on Smithfield City. Yeah, do you know, have you heard for sure where that's gonna be?
I can't say,
No? Okay.
even if I did know. I did offer my property,
Yeah?
but they're not taking it.
Yours would have been a great place.
I know.
Gotta be on a
It's
hill,
already decided,
gotta be on a hill.
according to the gentleman I was with at lunch last night, or supper last night.
Yeah. Okay, next, Smithfield City Blue Sox
And he would,
Field restroom, Blue Sox Field restroom facility, 122,000. This is probably one that we can't cut. Because to do one restroom,
But-
that's how much it costs.
now, I can't remember, how much were they participating in on it too, though?
Yeah, let's see.
They're asking for 80% of their project.
Yeah, okay. But they were coming in with something.
Pardon?
They were participating on something, I
There's
hope.
another 20% on top of this? How many restrooms was it?
You should see them, it's a nice picture.
48.
We gave them 100,000 last year and 90,000 the year before. And the budget for this project is 153,000, so they come up with about 30,000.
Okay, I just wanted to make, that's one thing, I looked at it, but I couldn't remember.
Where is this one? Which section?
48, both.
Which section?
Both.
It's in
Both? Under both?
So, 152,000 project, 122, so they're okay. I will say, Smithfield, they get them done.
Well, and they invite everybody in. It's not like they,
Are they asking for anything else, is Smithfield slide?
They are not asking.
Smithfield Youth Theater, we already approved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say we fully fund them, personally.
Okay, we've got a motion from Dave to fully fund them.
I second.
We have a second from Becky. More discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, I've just given them 120,000 to keep it a round number.
I like that idea.
They'll come to me for another 474.
That's okay.
Okay, that brings us down to Cornish Town, number 28. They want $33,950. Cornish Town Hall improvements, phase 3.
They're the ones that.
we've discussed this for 3 years, how they coming out there?
I think they are still gathering money a little bit. I don't think I've heard much about it yet. You know, meaning, I don't necessarily hear about it until they request money.
They're,
They
I-
haven't,
the park, they have done some great things at the park. They were able to, and a lot of that was donated labor, waiting for,
right,
you know, blocks and things like that, and they did it all as a community. This project here is in the same kind of thing. It's probably gonna take a couple of years because they kind of get the community together to build it and to put money together, and
I move we give them $30,000 and hope that they can,
they would die if they saw that much
would
money.
they,
Well,
would they get it done? Would they do something?
oh, yeah, yeah,
Well, they've done it in phases. They requested 22, and we gave them 10 for phase 1, and they finished it. They requested 35 for phase 2, we gave them 10, and now they're doing phase 3. So they got it done with what we gave them.
I kind of feel the same way
Well,
Bruce does.
construction costs are
Oh, they're-
double what they
they're
were
crazy. They're
6 months
crazy.
ago. If they're gonna get it
Yeah.
done,
We probably need to give them more money than they asked for.
most, and a lot of theirs, they use basically their own community labor most of the time on everything. You'll see some of the backhoes from the, you know, the neighbor over here, and you'll see a lot of that stuff in there because that's just how they do it.
I just checked in their 2019, they have spent that and got reimbursed for it. For 2021, they haven't asked for reimbursement yet.
I make a motion, we fully fund them.
I will second that personally.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to fully fund
Not even 30 or 33, 34.
34,000. Okay, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment. $34,000 for Cornish Town Hall. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, Millville City Park Walkway Phase 2, $64,000.
Years past, we've given 50 and 50. Budget 78,000. I'd probably suggest the same thing this year.
Suggest what this year?
Probably the same thing. They seem to have got by with it and do more than what they have. So that's what we've given them in the past. They've done a good job with it and actually done more than what they'd requested.
Is that a motion?
So how much were you thinking of doing?
I was thinking 50, but maybe go to 60.
60,000? Okay, so is that a motion for 60,000?
Second that.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Reed and a second from Dick for 60,000. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next we're on Amalga. New playground equipment, $12,500.
I move we give them $10,000 and it'll be like Christmas out there.
10,000? Okay, there's a motion for 10,000. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for $10,000 on their $12,500 request.
They're gonna have to take turns on the playground. That's fine. Perfect.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we're down to number 57. Looks like Utah State University, Swenson Park, $37,100 request.
I want some details on this one.
I scored this as a 1 when I was gonna give it a 0.
I gave it a 0.
I'm not in favor of it.
I'm not in favor of it either. I gave it a 0 and I was kind of,
I see it as a beautification project in honor of a poet.
honor of a who?
A poet.
Of a poet.
Poet.
I don't see how it's going to be utilized very much. People drive by a great deal, but
should be
are they
under
going to go there and contemplate? I don't know.
I think Utah State's got oodles money. And I personally, I move that we give them 0.
Okay, we have a motion from Dave for 0 for the Swenson Park. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, Dick has seconded that. Is there further discussion on the motion?
And I apologize for lack of understanding on that, but I think Utah State just has some, they have the money for whatever they want to do.
They probably.
And I think that, I don't think they should be dumping into the county for us.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Millville City South Park Pickleball Courts. Oh, we should have done this with the other Millville one, sorry. Missed that. So,
4 pickleball courts.
yeah,
People use them.
they're so
Did they-
popular.
They're very
But
popular.
they already have some,
Yeah,
and they're wanting to,
but I think they're used.
remember, what was that controversy, that those pickleball courts went kind of,
Well,
Providence.
when you ping it, it ping, ping, ping.
Yeah,
So
'cause
if you
it's-
live nearby it, it's a
Yeah,
problem.
that's a wood paddle with like a plastic wiffle ball.
it's like,
Pop.
like wannabe tennis.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more fun.
Have you guys played it?
You know,
Not-
I've gone this far.
Obviously,
I
there's
played
a syndrome
tennis.
that
It's a lot more
causes.
fun than tennis.
I was a Skyview Bobcat tennis team, man. Is that weird or what?
You would like this then. You should
You
try
would
it.
like it a lot.
I don't have to run as far, huh?
I've tried it a couple times. It's, yeah, that's why it's fun. You don't have to chase the ball as much. It's easier to get to the ball. There are more volleys.
It causes noise-induced stress.
Yes. Yes.
That's right.
Well, this isn't the same city though, right?
But that's a city problem.
Different cities.
Somebody make a motion, how much money? I think that it's
I think you need to, if you're gonna vote on this one, I think you need to go back and
The other one.
and consider the two together.
I agree, because the other one was just a 12-foot walkway.
Yeah.
that
Gave
was
them 60
around
grand.
all of it.
Yeah, we give them
They
60
almost,
grand.
to be honest with you, they almost should have tied the two together, because the one, I thought, got to these in some ways. And I thought, well, it's kind of one project, but they split it up into two. Am I wrong?
I would probably give them one or the other.
Do we have all the pickleball requests together?
Pickleball
Should they be
ones?
considered as a unit?
I think that though you're serving a different group of people, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, and the next one, we were gonna not recommend anything. The Providence one, you mean? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's the one that we weren't gonna,
Were they completed, the 2019 ones? Pickleball?
Millville City.
I have a,
Well, Providence had a 19 and a 20 award, but they haven't built them yet, and because they changed their master plan, they moved it. But on Millville built some in 2019.
right,
Let me see if they've asked for reimbursement.
and I was just
It's-
wondering if,
well,
They have asked for reimbursement, so they have finished it.
Okay.
it shows on their picture, location of existing courts, and you can see them there.
yeah, I just.
But
that
I
was
know
all.
that there's a need for them, because more and more people are playing them.
Yeah, I have a friend who plays, and she said it's really hard to get a court.
Yeah, it is. There's a shortage.
I think if we have the funds and we're not overspending in Midville, I think we ought to pay it.
Yeah, we've got
They
the
need to
money.
put a wall so high around all of them, and then put ice in there during the winter, and they got a ice skate
Yeah.
rink and
But
multi-use.
but out, in some of them, they actually go out and shovel it, so they can use it if it's in the wintertime.
Historically, we've given
It's either
Millville
this one or the
50,000.
Providence, they actually have to.
That's what I
go out
have,
and shovel
yeah.
it.
What was that, Bruce?
50,000.
Historically, we've given them $50,000. If you give them both, we're talking about triple what we've given.
How about population-wise in the funds that we were doing, would that be overfunding them?
Dave will have to answer that.
Well, I don't know. You mean compared to everybody else?
I
How
mean,
much per
what
capita
I mean,
going
I guess
out
what I'm looking at
city-wise?
the funds and how we're distributing them to the different cities.
That would be an interesting analysis for us to do, to look at historically how it's been
I just was wondering,
distributed.
you know, because it's growing, people are coming, is this something that,
How does the
Well-
population of Smithfield compare?
Yeah,
to
Smithfield's,
I believe well, I don't know the
Is it-
current population of either one exactly, but I believe Smithfield is 6 times the size, maybe
That's,
7 times the size.
and we gave them how much? 300,000?
I might have it.
Millville will be,
100,000. What did we just give the Smithfield for their,
We gave
40,
Smithfield the full amount.
yeah.
100,
how much was it?
122.
well, what about this? Do you guys, if you don't want to give them as much, do you want to fund the pickleball courts and not the 60,000
That's what I would suggest.
for the
To begin
trail
That,
around the park?
How did they rank them? Did they rank one over the other?
they could probably,
This rank is their number one rank.
I think a 12-foot path, they could probably work through something on that.
Remember also that we have $2 million extra that we started off with, and we haven't fully funded.
I think we ought to give them 160, 170,000, I think. What you said, or what I suggested earlier, one or the other, and probably the pickleball courts, because it's probably cheaper to build the pickleball courts at one time, instead of half here and then bring back
Yeah.
and the crew back in.
Move to fund them at 111,000 on the pickleball courts, and
Yeah, I'll go for 111.
Okay, so was that a motion and a
Yeah.
second? Motion from Dave and a second from Reed to fund 111,000 on the pickleball courts.
And not on the park walkways.
Well, that's not the motion we have before us, but
Yeah,
Okay.
we can consider that. What's that?
No, I thought that was the motion, fund the 111, but not the 60.
Was that your motion, Dave? I didn't.
It
hear
is
that.
now.
Okay, so,
we hadn't finished the other one. I was gonna go back and look
okay,
at that.
so,
Sorry.
so Dave's motion to clarify was
111,000 on the,
111,000 on the pickleball courts and 0 on their walkway that we had previously talked about giving them 60. Okay,
What was the number on the walkway?
60 was number 40. It was $60,000, number 40 was the project.
And it's just up above.
It's just up above on the same page. Okay, so,
I'm gonna vote against that.
Smithfield, on what we're going to award this year for population allocation, they have 12,025 people. Millville has 2,150.
2,100,
Times the size,
2,100.
6 times the size.
Yep, but it's not just having, my wife plays pickleball a lot, and it's not just people from Millville that come and play pickleball.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
It's the availability of a pickleball court.
If there's if the only one they can find is the other side of the valley, they'll drive there.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay, so,
How
I'm gonna
about if
start
I
building
amend the
pickleball.
motion and we fund the pickleball court and give them $20,000 for their parkway and let them use their discretion if they want to.
okay, so there's an amended motion or a substitute motion to give them 111 for pickleball and 20 for their walkway. Is there a second to that substitute motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a second for the substitute motion. That would give them a total of 130,000, and they could decide how they want to split it up. Bruce, you look concerned.
I'll vote no on that.
I will vote no on that.
I'll go with,
Okay, so is there any more discussion on that, on this substitute motion? Okay, so,
I'll withdraw my motion.
want to withdraw it? Okay,
You have to ask her too.
Oh, that would be fine.
okay, so that motion's been
I
withdrawn.
just know that would be something I would use.
Okay.
So that's why I voted for it.
So we're back to the motion on the floor to give 111,000 to Millville for the pickleball courts, 0 for their walkway. Any more discussion about that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay, we are making good progress because we are now done with those recreation projects. Well, let's just, I guess, let's get a motion on this Providence one. This is the one where they would only need it if the council says they can't move their other funds. So my recommendation is that we don't give them anything on this one.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I'll move the motion to.
Okay, so we have a motion for 0 on this one. Do we have a second? Second from Dick, okay. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now that finishes us with that section. Now we're on tourism. And we are on number 12. Oh, this was another Cache County Fairgrounds one. We can go into this section. Did we include this one?
We
Okay.
did not include that one.
We did now.
How did we not?
So,
And you know what?
well, while we're at it,
See, that's even less, see, they've kind of looked at it and they budgeted less than they had previous years.
It is.
yeah,
So-
okay, so let's just clarify then, do we want to make a motion to approve this one?
I move we approve.
Okay, Dick made a motion for approval, and Reed seconded that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
You don't want
Now-
to round that up to 10,000, do you?
yeah, I would, I like round numbers. Okay,
But I like that, I want it just to be said that that's an organization that says, well, this is what it costs, what we were able to do, and this is, they're just staying
Yep.
within their budget, and I said, they're great.
yeah,
you know.
real numbers, not
Exactly,
inflated, they're just real
exactly.
numbers. Okay, Cache Valley Cruise In, 49,500. What have you guys done on this in the past?
Gave them 10 last year and 30 the year before that.
And they want 50 this year, 49.50.
And we gave,
The reason 10 was on account of the pandemic though.
And they did not have the cruises.
they weren't able, yeah, they backed out on that. But this year it is scheduled,
Yep. Who's the
green and go.
Who's the entertainment? We heard that this year? I think we did.
Rhymes,
It says it on here.
Rhymes, is it Leanne?
Leanne Rhymes?
Leanne
Leanne
Rhymes,
Rhymes?
Yeah,
a grammar winner.
That's right.
I think it brings
Yeah,
a lot
Leanne
of
Rhymes,
people
she's
to
pretty
the
good.
valley.
it's a good, it's,
It's a good show.
and I think it's almost, I hate to say it, but you can rate it as far as bringing people in to the
Oh,
opera.
yeah, this is a huge,
You know.
huge
But,
draw.
They always request 50. They always request 50.
And
How much do they need?
Well,
I'd say
they've gotten
give
by on less.
I'd say give them 30 from the,
How much cash do they have left over from last year? I forgot. I usually write that down.
And they were so close to
They were gonna go out of
holding
business.
that last year even,
Yeah.
but it was just a,
You don't have a balance sheet.
They don't?
Shows the revenue, expenses. Net assets,
Well, what do they, aren't the net assets probably cash?
Net assets. At the end of the year was, 30,000.
One of those little
That's probably got, yeah,
signature
you're right.
tags, the different number, or
We all say I can do it.
it's just a color,
Yep.
this one color.
So the 10,000 we awarded to them last year, they haven't collected it. Is that right, Betty?
it probably, last year's 10,000 hasn't been spent, has it?
Let me look.
I doubt, I
I
doubt.
think that they went after it for advertising, but let me see.
Do they donate money they raise?
I don't think
It's
so.
probably the giveaway for the car, because they give a car away.
It says, cause it says for the benefit of education, charity, and civic
They-
purposes.
They got their money from last
They,
year.
they did spend it,
Yeah.
well.
They got it.
Let's put it, they withdrew it.
They requested it and we paid it.
30,000 net assets at the end of the year, and
I'd move to give them 30,000 this year.
Okay, we have a motion for 30,000. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it if nobody else.
Okay. So we've got a motion and a second for 30,000. Motion from Dave, second from Bree. Any further discussion on the $30,000 motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay,
I just love the diversity. I love that. Something
Yeah.
for everybody in the valley, right?
Amen to that.
okay, number 27, Common Ground Outdoor Adventures, tourism promotion of the Cache Valley Century Ride, $3,500. Motion
We've
for
given them
approval.
given them 2,500 in the last 2 years.
Okay,
And I think that's enough for this year too.
you think 2,500 is?
Yep.
Is that a motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion from Reed, a second from Dave for $2,500. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
In fact, we've given them 2,500 since 2017.
Is there anybody opposed on that? Okay. Next, we're on Logan Downtown Alliance. Logan City Top of Utah Marathon, they want $20,000.
Is that an increase?
Would have been given in in previous years.
37.
So the Century Ride, they could do for 3,500, and they need
5,000.
We've given them 5 and 5 the last 2 years.
I'll tell you, they bring a lot of people into the valley on that, I will say that.
Yeah, it's definitely good tourism draw.
5.
Sometimes I wonder about the people that prepare their applications, because on this one, they had, said you're gonna have 200 marathon runners. But back here, they're budgeting for 468.
Yeah.
It's like we've always given them 5,000 back to 2018 and 3,000 in 2017.
Isn't there a lot of, they do bring a lot of people, but there are a lot of locals that participate in that too, aren't there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I just know that there's a lot of, even school organizations that come together and
A lot of great
go up
school
there and
kids run.
help out on the finish lines and doing all that kind of stuff, and it seems like there's a lot of local.
You look at the back page, they've got a lot of sponsors, you know, they have Natural Grocer, let's see, there's Jones and Simpkins, Malou Foundation. So it's,
Doesn't give me any heartburn to push to the 10 to 12 even,
10 sounds good.
10,000 for this year.
I'd go with 10.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Seconded it.
Okay, a motion from Dave, second from Dick, $10,000. Any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next, we're going to have, number 42, Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art. 2021-22 exhibitions, K through 12 outreach, public programming, $10,000.
Gave you 4 and 3 from prior years.
Is the K through 12, is it anywhere besides, you know, where do they really go to? Anyone know? Or is it just on campus stuff up there?
It says 3,200 students, which are
In
Cache
Cache County
County
K
K
through
through
12,
12 students. So that's lots of schools.
The only art museum between Salt Lake and Boise.
The total project budget's $1,143,750.
So they get a lot of grants on this, there's a lot of other places.
I move that we give them 5,000.
Okay, we have a motion for 5,000 from Dave. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Was that you, Bruce? Okay, second from Bruce. Any more discussion on that $5,000 motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that brings us to Cache County Visitors Bureau, $94,525 for their boosted Visitors Bureau domestic and international marketing campaign.
Now, what was the issue that we had here in the past? Because we didn't give them anything last year, because they have a separate budget from the county, is that right?
I still think
They're funded through transient room tax primarily.
that's been affected a little bit.
They
Well,
have taken a hit.
Yeah, that's been affected a lot this year.
they're a pretty hefty budget. They're still at 600 and something thousand.
It's funded from Cache County's tax dollars?
Yeah. And I kind of wish that these would be all put in that budget and.
Yeah. Well, if we don't give them this, it'll be other tax dollars. These are tax dollars too. If we don't give them this, they'll do it with other tax dollars.
We haven't done anything the last 2 years,
We haven't given them anything?
not the last 2 years.
They had built, as I remember, the discussion was,
Didn't that go to someplace else?
they made themselves a distribution center and they were giving out money to other entities to promote other entities, that's right.
You're talking about their tourism promotion grant that they do?
I can't remember the details of it.
Yeah, they do some small grants. They're like a couple $1,000s for tourism promotion.
But I think that they were using some of this money to
That's
gift
why-
out to
that's
other
why we-
entities.
To like the festival, to some of the arts, they have done that in the past.
And I think they were using this money for that, and the committee felt that it wasn't, should be, if they were taking this money and then deciding where to put it, it should be
It's
this
like-
group that decides
It's
where.
like us giving the Festival of the Opera, 10,000 for marketing. And then we give the Visitors Bureau, we give them, I don't know, 20,000, and then they use 10 of it for marketing on the Festival of the Opera. It's like giving the Festival of the Opera
A
20,000,
double dose.
and,
I thought it was, they had a big slush fund.
And
That
that
too.
too.
Also part of
And
I thought that
too.
was the big deal, was that
They-
they had a lot of money that they weren't using.
there was a few years ago, and that's when we, as a county council, we went in and actually used 300,000 of it, at the event center,
Oh, good.
for promotion and to get, payment on a lot of that stuff and everything. It was not taken very well, but you just can't build up an account, it
I
needs,
would defer to our county leaders right now to
So,
tell us.
yes, so here's what they're planning to do with this money. And I don't see that they're gonna sub-grant it out to anyone. They have specific projects they wanna do. They've got one with the Utah Office of Tourism where they're partnering, that's 22,000. They've got 23 for Wasatch Front and Southern Idaho advertising. They've got 14,000 for Western Canada. They've got 7,500 for YouTube and Facebook, 32,000 for radio campaign, online digital campaigns 46,000. They've got billboard for 9,600, several magazines for 24,000. So all of that adds up to 189,000, which they're going to match 50%. So they're just asking for 50% match for specific advertising campaigns.
They've had a similar thing in the past couple of years, what they were gonna use it for. But then it went back to what you did, and I can't remember, Bruce. But I do remember when you started bringing that up, that was the reason why you dropped down from 125,000 or 100,000 down to 0 and 0. It wasn't, there had to be a very viable reason.
And to me, everything you've read there should already be in there. You know, that's their participating budget for, you know, for the Visitors Bureau.
You remember anything, Betty, on that?
I think part of it was that we did notice that the amount that we were giving them was increasing. It was pretty correlational to the amount that their fund balance was growing. Could just be coincidental.
Is there any way to measure the effect of all these hundreds of thousands of dollars of advertising?
Well, they say that visitors spent $187 million here in 2019. And that's one of the measurements they use. But how do we tie that directly to the advertising? I'm not sure. That's something we'd have to ask her. She might be around the corner. Want to poke your head in? I'm sure she'd love to come
Well,
in.
and I say she comes, well, I guess it's a public meeting, but I say come
She's
to,
there,
come to the
yeah.
county council and share those kind of, you know, successes and
You know, if we gave them, if this group would make a recommendation that we give them a request, I'd like to see, if they spend $200,000 on this increased advertising, I'd like to be able to see, yes, this brought more visitors.
She just barely left.
What's that?
She just barely left the line.
She left, okay. So some kind of metric, yeah, I'm not sure how you do that, like, online marketing, I know has a lot better metrics, you can see how many people saw it, how many people clicked on it. Radio advertising, I think, has always just been a guess. Sometimes there are companies that come in and survey and ask, how'd you hear about this kind of thing? Or were you listening, or do you listen to this? Generalizations, but depending on which one it is, it's hard to know. If it's a magazine, it's hard to know.
Because I know the theater, the Center for the Arts, the Olin Eccles Theater, they can tell you how many of their ticket holders came from out of the valley.
Oh, yeah, I know she has that. She has all that data of who comes from where, and she just gave a really good presentation to the county council, actually.
But see, if she has that data, that's what I'd like to, if she has that data, and we can see it for 2019, 2020, and we give them $200,000 to increase, we should be able to see it for 2021. I'd like to be able to know next year, you know, we can't see numbers that show that did us any good at all. Or absolutely, there's a 25% increase.
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to see that.
yeah, she can show us that, I'm sure, assuming it happens. Yeah.
And if we do decide to go with this, I'd like to be given with that instruction. Not just what happens this year, but compared to the prior year and the year before that.
Okay. I can pass that on to her.
And COVID has certainly made an influence too in the protection of advertising.
But we should be able to see from the year before that, though.
The other thing that I think would be interesting to see is digital. You were saying that digital's easier. I noticed that there's more digital in here than what there had been in the past. So I think that's a good thing.
But they're talking about, well, I don't know, magazines and
No, I'm just saying that I'm glad to see that they're doing that, and it'd be nice, like you say, to see the numbers, at least they're heading that direction of the digital.
I had a discussion the other day with her. It says, you know what, I was driving into the valley out of Sardine Canyon. I thought, I look at the valley, I thought, you know, what happens here? I says, it'd be so neat to see one of these marquee billboards that says, hey, this is what's happening, and have dates and events or something, you know, and have it change, or even says, you know, a question, have you been to Tony Grove lately? Or have you, you know, I don't know, I just.
You own property out
Like the
there.
UDOT
No, I
ones?
don't.
Kind
Yeah.
of like the UDOT ones,
And
gives you something
well,
different all
actually,
the time.
coming into Sardine Canyon
Yeah.
made me mad, because all it was is, you're in a COVID area and you're gonna die, you know? And I thought, well, it got my attention.
Somehow you survived.
I survived. But then I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice and saying, hey, I don't know, Mountain Crest Mustangs beat the 4A tournament or something. I don't know, just a thank you, just something, just kind of,
Yeah, electronic billboard,
I keep thinking, man, that'd be
cool.
you know, to me, that's advertising. That's things that you see.
Well,
I see more of the marquee type of things than I do the flat ones, you know, the permanent ones anymore.
Don't we have a business that sells
Yeah.
electric signs in
Yeah.
our company?
The old Yesco, whatever it is.
They're owned by China now.
You just gotta find
Sold
a,
to China?
Everything's sold.
you just gotta
Anyway.
you just gotta find a city that'll allow electronic billboard in it.
I bring
This is
that,
what I was
I
gonna
bring that
say.
up just to get how people get attention, and,
Yeah.
because we get so many people that drive through here on the way to Yellowstone and things like that, and.
Beautiful
eat at a
place for what's
restaurant,
going
you know,
on.
have
yeah.
you eaten here yet, you know, or
Yeah.
something to,
Yeah.
you know, that
I don't
causes
think
people
we-
to stop.
I don't think there'd be enough billboards to do that.
I need to leave.
You need to leave? Okay. We're making really good progress. We only have a few more to go. Looks like Dick needs to hit the road. So do we have a motion on, Cache Valley Visitors Bureau?
How much?
That's my question. How much do you guys wanna do?
I'd probably only go 50.
50,000?
Second.
She works with you.
Yeah.
What, I'd like to have your recommendation as the county executive
I'd like to
on
fund
this.
the whole thing, because if we don't fund it, she still wants to do it, it's gonna do it, and it's gonna pull from other taxes. One pot or the other of taxes that it's gonna pull from. And
I think
we've got
All
$2
right,
million
then.
bucks sitting here.
Then I'll make the motion with the proviso that next year we see a report that compares to 2020 and 2019.
Okay,
That will help us decide how smart we were.
okay, so, we had a motion and a second. I'll take this as a substitute motion.
She has her on the phone if you guys want to do speaker and ask questions.
No, we're probably fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we have a
Tell her we
substitute
only gave her a
motion.
$1.
$1. Okay, so I'll second that so we can get this moving along. So we have a motion and a second for, did you say 90 or 94?
I just said whatever you recommend,
Okay.
and you said the whole thing, so
Yeah,
94,
okay.
525.
So 94, we have a motion and a second for 94, 525 for the Visitors Bureau marketing campaign. Any more discussion about that? All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Dave, we opposed to that one. Motion carries at 94, 5.
There'll be more discussion.
I think I'm through with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we finished that page and we're down to the last page that only has 4. This should be quick. Because, one's the zoo and 2 of them are the same organization. So Nordic United, they asked for 2 different things, $10,500 for promotion of Cache County outdoor winter recreation and maintenance, and $5,000 for Smithfield Canyon Winter Trail. And you see,
We've given them 4 and 4 in the past.
okay.
No, was this the one that was buying?
They wanted to buy a snowmobile.
Yeah.
Snowmobile's the 5,000.
The $5,000.
Wasn't it the other way around?
Was this
So the snowmobile, the trail is 5,000 is the 43, and then the 44,
Oh, I guess I got it backwards.
Number 44 is promotion.
Yeah, it's all promotion, almost. Well, what's promotion?
I thought one of them was for expenses for grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't this one here, though.
Or I thought was.
That's the 43. 43 and 44 Nordic, both Nordic Uniteds. One's promotion, and then the other one was
Number 44 says promotion and maintenance of winter outdoor recreation trails.
Where's 43?
Yeah, 43 is the one for the buying the snowmobile.
Yeah,
I think they need that.
yeah. So, we think they need the 5,000 for the snowmobile, the question is the 10,500 for the other one. What are your thoughts on that?
Looks like we've given them 4 and 4 in the past, but I'm not even, don't think I give them any more than 4 for the promotion of it.
And maintenance, it says.
So five for 43 and 4 for 44?
Or how about 5 and 5?
5 and 5?
That's what I would
And
do.
even 5 and 5?
That'll be good.
Is that a motion from somebody I hear?
I'll
Yes.
second.
Okay, Andy made that motion, Dave seconded for 5 and 5. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so 5 and 5, so we got 2 more to go. United Way,
I have a tough time understanding this.
I do too. I feel like they're raising money
I'm
to pay
personally,
themselves.
I move, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we give them 0.
United
I
Way.
was thinking that.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry, I am not in favor of giving someone money to go make money. That's,
That's what I think.
And it looked like that they were spending everything.
sense to me.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fees that they were gonna charge didn't even come close to equaling
Yeah.
the money we give them.
And it's a pickleball
You
competition.
don't have to promote that. I just don't understand it.
well,
It looked like they were making $9,000 off the deal, is
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
it's all about donation, and this to me is, this is not donation. You know, we're not into that kind of,
is there a portion of this that you feel like would be justifiable if they're gonna do a pickleball tournament? Like, a cost that you think would actually fit?
No,
no.
That's why they
Personally,
have
not
to
as
do
I
it.
look through it.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one I gave a 2 to.
as popular it is, you're not, you say, hey.
Why do you
could
need to-
almost just,
I don't know what I gave, but
Anyway.
Okay.
I think
so-
they would correlate with even the Visitors Bureau or other places like that, and they could probably get the advertisement and start building it.
Did you say that was a
Start
motion,
building.
Dave?
We did
Did you
restrooms.
say that was your motion? to
Yeah, I
give them
moved,
zero?
I moved, that we give them 0.
Okay, Dave has a motion to give him 0.
I
second it.
second it.
Andy has a second on that.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. That's-
Any opposed?
That's nothing personal against the organization, it's just that, to me, it's just not the purpose of these dollars to.
Okay, this last one should be pretty easy. They are entitled to 10%, and they asked for less than 10% for the zoo. 10% would have been 208,000. They only asked for 155. Any discussion or motion on this?
I'll move to give them the 155.
I'll second that one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion about the zoo? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we have made it through the list. We have a combined recommendation here. Would somebody like to make a final motion that we send this list of recommended amounts to the county council?
How are we in balance?
We are within the budget for 21 and 20, and not dipping into the other at all. We will need to move 299,000 over
Okay.
into the parks.
But you
I
can
do some
you can
adjustments.
shift whatever you need there to make sure that both those balance, okay? We're okay, we're not too heavy in one.
Do you
or two,
have a
okay?
number of what we just spent?
What we just spent is $2,659,428.
We had about,
And we had $3,837.
With the carryover.
say that again? We had,
Including the 20 carryover.
okay, it added up to how much? 3 million?
3,837,758.
And we just spent
2.6.
2.6?
65942.
Yes.
We're just gonna, we gave Harlem City 200,000, requested 3 in their different projects. If we're looking at those things and what we've given some of the other smaller cities, I'd suggest maybe going 250 instead of the 200.
On Hiram's?
On Hiram City where they requested the 300,000 for the 30-acre park.
That's number 31.
Okay, so,
You bet. I'll second that if
okay,
it's
so
not too
we've got a
late.
motion that we go back to Hiram and raise theirs by another $50,000. We have a motion and a second motion from Reed and second from Dave. And is there any discussion about that? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Move to approve these and then let the county council blame for everything else.
Okay, so,
I would like to see the summary that you sent out, as you have in the past, before I give I'll give my provisional vote, but I'd like to see it in writing before we,
Yeah, I usually send it out for everyone to go over, and then they'll send me back if I've made any mistakes.
okay, so, yeah, let's definitely review that before Tuesday night, because this will be on their agenda for Tuesday night, so can you get that to us
I can
before
get it
then?
out, yeah,
Okay.
hopefully today.
Okay, so Dave made a motion that we send these numbers that we came up with today to the county council for their approval. Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Okay, Reed is seconding that. Any other discussion on this recommendation, overall recommendation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you all for your work. That was, I don't know what your other ones went like, but I think that probably went way faster than usual.
Would you like to come and,
generally had 2-hour sessions.
Dave, would you like to come and present this to the county council on Tuesday?
So 2 2-hour sessions, so it's about the same, it's just we do it in 2 segments, right?
Yeah, it's about the same period of time in two
Yeah,
different
how long did
sessions.
that take us? 3.5 hours?
3.5, and we generally gone
Two
two
2
sessions,
hours,
1 2 hour, and one an hour, an hour and a half.
Okay, so that was about the same amount of time as usual?
But it was all at one time, so I think
There
it's
is, yeah.
actually good this way.
It was actually more productive.
Yeah, I thought it was more productive,
So
and I
you-
don't think we realistically started going over the lists themselves until about,
I'm sorry.
till about 10:45, so it really didn't take
Yeah,
us.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. We talked about a lot of other business
Yeah.
before we actually got started, so maybe,
Going through the actual book itself,
yeah.
went much quicker.
Yeah, and if we organize our list to follow the book next time, that, and we just won't go by highest scored next time, we'll just go by the same order they were in the book. That'll probably make it easier for us instead of flipping back and forth. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service. This is a
Andy, nice meeting you.
big heavy
Yes.
lift.
I'm still here.
And,
Just trying to think. How bad is it?
Okay.
Appreciate all you guys' time and service and
Yeah,
Thank
that's,
you for listening.
kind of, well, I watched conference and I looked at this at the same time while flipping through it. Kind of refreshing.
I was gonna take that one list that we went over with the money, so I could kind of look back
No,
over it.
please do, take whatever you need.
Okay,
Keep your book for a while if you'd like.
so all the handouts we can keep, this you can have, right?
Yeah, unless you wanna keep it for a while, that's fine too.
Basically, what she'll do is she'll shred it for you if you don't want. Yeah. That's why she wants
Nice meeting you, David.
it. Well, it has, you have to keep it safe. It's not something you can
Yeah,
just
it
trash, that
has-
you have to shred it.
Financial
Stuff. So
should not be made public at this point.
Well,
I think I'm gonna keep the, I always keep the trails one,
CEO, he's a friend of mine.
then I give them to,
You're welcome to keep whichever pieces you need.
you know.
and what should we do with our trash here?
I think we'll gather it.
Say, go get them done. They said they had 24 appraisals for me to do from October to May. Well, I'm on number 64 now.
Usually give them to,
I go, 24 and
But they, I can take
64,
these
it
on
finished this morning.
if you want to come to the trails meeting,
And
they do
then,
send
then
out a
it'll
list.
hardly nothing during the summer.
Or you can just show up here every
I enjoy
Tuesday
that.
at noon.
Tuesday at noon.
Oh, I'm out in Rangeley and Dinosaur, Colorado, and Boise.
Nice to meet you too.
Cannon. No, Severe, I'm every,
Nice to meet you.
but it's enjoyable. I mean, you go meet the solid earth people. And they're on the ranches and stuff.
thank you. Tell your husband I said hi.
Okay, I will. It's been fun being on this committee, and
Oh, and
you'll learn a lot, how things are running. I think this committee wants to use our tax dollars wisely.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, because I was kind of thinking, we just say, give them all what they wanted, but that's great that everybody was looking at them, thinking about them, how much they really need. What have they spent, what are their fund balances? Really thorough.
Get them done if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to get them done, get them done, and then they bring it back and go.
Here, I can take, oh, right here.
But it makes a difference, you know.
Oh, it's,
You look at fresh eyes, you know.
oh, yeah.
Like, I always love to hear his analysis. It's like, thank you.
Connected Lisa with, our former planner.
It's helpful.
Nibley, who's down.
And I try and get the heart part.
So I sent them a group text.
Person, you know, like the one that sometimes I get voted down.
Take care.
He worked for us at Nibley when she.
And it's like, okay, I'm looking at what, I would use that. I would use that, I would like that.
It's something that,
I think that's what makes it good, and I'm glad, you know, I do.
Oh, we're glad she helped.
well, that's why I try to use it. We're certain.
Just better take your phone.
Well,
Betty,
yes,
I'm gonna keep mine till after Tuesday.
I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. I'm gonna go make a copy of
Becky.
my notes and I'll give it to you.
I would love that, thank
Good seeing you once a year.
Double check.
Get her. It is. Thank you for letting me come.
Thanks for lunch.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for your service. That was the least we could do for the hour of work.
Betty, appreciate you. Again. We'll talk to you later.
Fun, thank you. See ya.
Thank you for all you do on that. You make the job so much easier.
You know, it's good to get another year behind me, you know. You know, maybe what you'll ask and what I need to know for money and
Well, it's
the dollars.
you know, because it's a lot of money.
It's
You
a lot of
start
money.
thinking that, and you know, you don't want to feel like Santa Claus and just give it without.
I know, but it's lovely to see all the projects and the things that get built because of it, you know.
Well, I hope they'll use that. The council will use that money and direct it to maybe some bigger
Well,
causes that they need.
The other thing is that, you know, several years we'll have more. Plus, like, we'll have 2 million more than we have money for. So
Yeah.
it won't sit there very long.
Well, that's what I'm meaning is I'm hoping that like North Logan and some of those other ones that haven't been putting in projects would put some projects in. You know, I know they did the trail at the Bonneville and that's kind of different. You know, like Smithville, they keep on it, and I know they keep putting a lot in Elk Ridge. I'd really like to see some smaller, you know, pickleball courts and things, because it's, you know, like over in,
That Smithfield said to me that they just don't want to ask for too much. So they try to do one big thing each year.
which is
So
great.
It is, it is.
I like that. You
So-
notice that we fund it every year, because it's a great project, great ask. And I just wish North Logan would do more of that.
Yeah. Talk to your mayor, see if somebody can start.
Well, and I think that, I keep thinking I'm gonna talk to Alan Luce. I think LUCE, and he's in my ward, but with COVID, it's been so difficult to get people to do
You
it.
don't run into them.
Yeah,
And then just have a casual conversation.
well, and I've never met him, you know.
Oh, and that makes a difference.
And I kind of got involved earlier on, but he retired. You know, because they went out to all the different, I know that he went out and got a master plan, and I haven't heard much about the master plan now.
For the county or for North Logan?
For North Logan, they had like 7 different groups. You know, and so,
Huh.
I guess I need to get back.
You should follow up on that, see what you can find out.
Yeah, I'll talk to Buzzy.
Well, you know, when you run into someone or
Yeah, Buzzy might know.
together with
He
them.
made some suggestions of how they could present some of the things that they.
That would be a great idea.
I was gonna run into him, and I thought, I just think somebody's nosy there, but it helps if you've been on this committee to
But
know
it's
what it's
interest
gonna
and
take.
it's also, you know, if you don't say it, maybe there's 100 other people that don't say it. And
Yeah.
it's,
Because I had a meeting one time, we had 50 people come see what they wanted. One of them was they wanted the road out of Canyon Ridge off, that was a big deal.
So check mark, and that
Okay.
means that we funded the full amount. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
See you, Betty.
All right.
Bye, Becky.
Yeah.
Thank you.